Might not. Fucking might not. There we go. We're live. Sup, ladies and gentlemen, Accolon here, and welcome back to each one of it. Of course, if you're watching this over on YouTube, remember to slap that like button. Also, subscribe to the channel. Your help is always very much appreciated. But you should actually be here watching this live, because honestly, I think that is the best place to watch it. Just do a couple of tweets and shit here, so we actually get stuff done. Alright, that should work. That should do the trick. And then, of course, Twitch has done their part, sending out notifications, hopefully. Alright, there we go. Now we should be live. Of course, you never fucking know. You never fucking know. It is Twitch, after all. And I realize my schedule is all over the place. I do apologize. There's nothing I can do about it. There legitimately is nothing I can do about it. My schedule right now is whatever... basically whatever my government allows. So whenever there is electricity, that's when I go live. Digit, how you doing, bro? Ravy G, thank you for doing something. Really fucking appreciate that. 35 months, almost 3 years, you bastard. How you doing, Ray? Mickey Moto, how you doing? Ace, how you doing, bro? Angawar, thank you much for the follow. Really fucking appreciate that. I saw that 4 hours ago, so I really appreciate it. Welcome to the channel. Digit, what's up, Akko? I actually came on time as one of your earlier streams for today. I hope, though, it's not due shortage of power cuts again. Bro, power cuts is now a way of life. If you look on Discord, you will know we are now in stage 4 load shedding, which means 7.5 hours a day that we don't have electricity. 7.5 hours. If it goes to stage 5, that's 10 hours. And then if it goes to stage 6, that's 12 hours a day with no electricity. So we're basically fucking moving in the wrong direction here. Doing good. Weather has been heaven here for the past 2 weeks. It's been very cold here, but that's my heaven, so I'm good with it being very cold. Jack Grove, how you doing, bro? Who did I miss? Bottomancer, how you doing, brother? Anyways, yeah, it's been a fuck up, and it's continuing to be a fuck up. It's not going to get fixed. Just not, because my government, we don't have electricity in the country, but the biggest issue that my government is tackling right now is national health insurance. That's right. They can't run a fucking electrical grid, but they're gonna run the hospital system for the whole country. I can't wait. It's gonna be great. If you get the flu, you're dead. Basically, is what's gonna happen here. What in the hell? I don't know. I don't know about you, but I wouldn't know what I would do if there wouldn't be any power in your home. So basically, I usually do a bunch of stuff. So at night or during the day, like I just came back from a power outage. My power literally just came back on. So it was like 2.5, maybe. Yeah, it was 2.5. Nah, it wasn't even 2 and 45 minutes, but it was 2.5 hours. Let's say 2.5 hours that my power was out. It just came back on now. So I quickly got some food in the oven that's sort of going to cook for a long time so that I can go live. And then my power goes out again. Now, during the day when my power goes out, that's easy. I just read, right? I've got a bunch of World of Warcraft books here. I've got a bunch of other books that I'm working through. Just started picking up Inferno from Dan Brown. Fucking having a lovely time reading that. So during the day, it's fucking simple. Alex, thank you so much for doing something. Really fucking appreciate that. 7 months in a row. Thank you, thank you, thank you. At night, it's a lot harder. Because at night, there's literally nothing to do. The power's out, right? And I could sit there with my phone and sort of fucking read by phone light, I suppose. But I get headaches if I do that. So at night, there's literally no point in even trying to do anything. So at night, I'll usually download YouTube videos. And I'll just watch those as much as possible. You want cuddles again? Luna, how in the... You usually get cuddles and then it's like 2 years, good for 2 years. What the fuck? What happened? I can remind. Dante, Ravy G, I've ordered a bunch of World of Warcraft books, and I've also ordered a bunch of Warhammer books. So I'm legitimately waiting for those books to get into stock, I suppose you could say. And then I will absolutely be buying those and sort of reading them. You know, you can just sleep. Angawar, the problem with just sleep is if it goes off at like 2 a.m., that's fine. I can sleep at 2 a.m., right? I'll wake up a little bit earlier. I'll wake up at like maybe 6, maybe 5, but that's still fine. The problem is if I go to sleep, if it goes off at 10, I literally woke up at 1 p.m. I'm not going to sleep at 10 p.m. There's no way. There's no way that's going to happen. So then I just sit there and I watch YouTube videos. I've been watching a lot of fucking economical videos. Peter Schiff, for example. I've just been binge watching Peter Schiff, for example. Like last night as well as today, actually. Guy Haley is one of the best Warhammer authors, in my opinion. Guy Haley. I'll definitely check him out. I've done it, Akalon. I've decided to give Final Fantasy XIV a chance. And Lassia's Babby, how's it been going for you? Nika Spider, how you doing, brother? What? Who lied to you? I always want cuddles, even when I'm getting cuddles. Luna, I know for a fact that you despise people as much as you sometimes need cuddles. So it's almost always a battle for you between your disposition when it comes to human beings and your want of sometimes some kind of intimacy. Talking about Barbox, next month it will be the time for the Grimoire of Shadowlands. Digit, I'm looking forward to that. And if my power situation remains the same, it's going to be fucking amazing. We're going to have so much time to read. I absolutely need cuddles more. I simply suffer. All right, that's fair. I adore the aesthetic so far. I play on a roleplay round that's packed with players from World of Warcraft. Black Mage is a slower DPS, but it reminds me a lot of Shadow Priest. So I've been falling in love with it now. There's a couple of tricks with Final Fantasy that you have to know that I did not know when I started the game. First and foremost, do none of the side quests. The only quest you do is quest that's marked either purple, I think, and then there's another color. But the normal like brownish, goldish question marks or exclamation marks, do not do any of those quests. They're fucking useless. You don't need them. They just over-level you. So, for example, where I'm now with my duty quests, I'm 5 levels higher than what I'm supposed to be with my duty quests because I just did all the quests because I thought that's how you fucking do it. It doesn't matter because if you don't do the story quests, you can't continue with the game. So, basically, just do all the story quests. Just do the main quest line. It gives you more than enough XP. Like 3 main quests almost ding you. And if you do dungeons, holy shit. Dungeons give you 2 levels straight up, and it takes you literally this much from the final, like a 3rd level. So dungeons is insane. And the duty quests are amazing. I don't like reading. I prefer having it as an audiobook. I fucking hate audiobooks. Aaron Wombat, thank you so much for the sub, dude. Really fucking appreciate that. 5 months in a row. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Wild Boy, how you doing? I think we're gonna have to start setting up some kind of fund, like a slush fund, to get out of this fucking hellhole that is Pretoria. But I've just contacted the sort of lady that's the head of the trustees, the head of the board of trustees of the estate that I live in, and I basically just asked her, listen, how after all this time is there still no plan in place to get this estate off the fucking grid? Because if you do individual solar panels, that's sort of expensive. But if you do like en masse, so you try and connect 60 different houses, that's going to work out pretty cheap for every single house. So why aren't we doing this? And they sort of went, well, you know, they haven't really thought about it. And I'm like, how have you never thought about what the how is it that I've lived here for literally 3 months and I'm already thinking up things that can fix the fucking place, and they've lived here for years, right? There's some of these people that's lived here more than a decade with these power outages and bullshit, and they still just kind of go, you know, it's life. What are you gonna do? Just, I guess, treat the power outages as if it's something fun, you know, getting back to nature sort of fucking bullshit. You should have been an engineer. I definitely should not have been an engineer, Savin Raven. That would be the worst position for me to be in. But I do like problem solving is something that I think every gamer is very good at. But complacency is something that pisses me off, and it's the one thing that South Africa has in abundance. It's complacency. People just sort of thinking that the government is going to fix things, even though the government has never fixed a thing in their fucking life. The only thing my government can do is fuck everything up. Good advice. I think the WoW community needs a novice training guild like the Proving Grounds. It helped me learn my class really quick and provides a better lesson for newer players. I actually agree with you. You need solar farms. Ace, my government can't even give enough electricity with coal. Let's not start talking about solar farms. Like, there's no way. If you're in the first world, right, worrying about getting off of coal and moving into solar farms and things like that, that's perfectly fine. No one really gives a shit, right? Because you're a first world fucking country. If you're a third world country struggling to provide electricity, the last thing you should be worrying about is renewable energy. Just get the fucking energy first, and then once you have the energy for actual economic growth to start happening, then you can start worrying about actually trying to get to a renewable energy source. I wouldn't trust my government with shit at this point. Also, my government doesn't allow any private entities to generate their own electricity or generate electricity that they can sell back to the government. So yeah, it's never gonna fucking happen. Anyways, I don't want to talk about this. I'm just going to get fucking angry. You should have been an engineer. Empty-headed people running the show. That's government for you. You're good at that stuff? Thank you very much. Widget, how you doing, bro? What is your religion? Nickred, I'm assuming you mean in Final Fantasy and not IRL? Or do you mean in IRL? Yeah, baby, how you doing? People need jobs. No, I don't think hamster wheels would do the trick. Nickred, I'm not religious at all. I respect religion a lot, but I'm not religious myself. I'm also not spiritual. I am nothing. I don't believe that there's some kind of magic in the air around us that does things. I'm open to it. I can accept that there could be. So I'm agnostic. I'm not atheist. I think being an atheist is stupid. Because you're literally asserting that there is no religion without the ability to actually prove that there is no religion or that there is no God. So I think being an atheist is sort of short-sighted, but I am agnostic. Honestly, why do we use treadmills? I'd like a hamster wheel in my house to help me power my place. Wild boy, would you ever fucking use it? Would you ever use it? Would you fuck? I guarantee you would never get on that hamster wheel to actually power your house. What class are you playing in Final Fantasy? Currently playing an Arcanist at the moment. So much fun. Nico Spider, I'm playing Gladiator. Just because I thought it sounded like a cool thing, but I'm probably going to switch later on. Because Gladiator feels a little bit boring at the minute, but still, I'm still going. So you don't believe in God, right? No. I believe that there might be a God, but I don't know. That's basically it. What if aliens are future humans contacting us? I mean, maybe, but I personally think that there must be aliens. Obviously, Salamash, how you doing, brother? But technically, there are past humans who never had to stop evolving. I genuinely believe that the aliens have already been here. I think there's so much evidence that shows this, but there is a different story. If you guys really want to get into some conspiracy theory, I'm happy to give you a different explanation for what may or may not have happened, which I think it blew my mind when I first saw it, but you'd have to keep a very open mind because it is very far-fetched. There is evidence of it. Obviously, there's people talking about it, but it's very far-fetched. No, not Ancient Aliens of Azeroth, although I only played it for a couple of levels before I went back to WoW. Sathics, it gets really good past level 20, especially if you only play the main story. You don't waste your time with some of the side bits. Hi, Luna. I've seen there has been a lot of spectating about UFO sites in the US recently. No? Digit, yes. There's been, look, we've been visited by aliens. So, for example, UFO sightings during the Second World War was insane. It was absolutely insane. The amount of times soldiers saw things that they weren't supposed to see. like it just acted in a way that they did not understand or that it shouldn't have happened. When you have time, try to read the Quran. I think you will start believing in God. Nikrid, I've read the Quran. It did not do anything for me. Again, I respect all religions, and I think religion is a vital part of human beings and how they live. But I have no interest in... Look, at the end of the day, if there is a religion that I'm probably going to believe in, if I was ever convinced of the existence of a God, I would believe in how I was brought up, which is Christian, Protestant, to be very specific. I would most likely never swap to an entirely different religion that comes from an entirely different culture and area of the world than what I was brought up in. Mainly because why would I, right? If there is a God, it stands to reason that that God would be closest to who my culture is, if that makes sense. But I have no evidence for or against it. So my position on God is maybe. That's always been my position on religion. It could be. I can see that. Humanism, to an extent, yes, Widget. I am a humanist. I would love a YouTube video dedicated to the rabbit hole of Akko's views on religion. Yeah, baby. My views on religion is pretty simple. I think it would be a short video. That makes no sense, but I understand the thought process. The Quran says, where did you come from and where you will go after life. It explains everything in life and death. Nikred, but it also gets so much wrong. Like, so much of the explanation of how the world started and how the world came to be and how things is completely wrong. So, same with the Bible. The whole of Genesis, the explanation of how the world was created, it's completely unscientific. Plus, I don't really want to discuss religion. I'm happy to discuss politics. I'm happy to discuss real life. Religion is the one thing that I have no interest in discussing, especially not on Twitch. Because I don't want to offend anyone. I have no interest in offending people. If you have religion and you find joy in your religion and you find safety in your belief in God, that's perfect, right? That I'm genuinely never gonna say to anyone, you know, screw your religion or screw your God or try to disprove that their God exists. I don't want to do that, because I think religion is an important part. When people feel unsafe, when people feel sort of confused, religion can bring them some kind of comfort, right? The belief in a higher power that is in control of your life is something that's important for a lot of human beings, and I never want to take that away from people, or even try to take that away from people. There is no God, 100%. I'm just as sure that aliens exist, life and death. It's just the food cycle. Your food turns into cum. Your food is dead animals and plants. Wild Boy, if you're 100% certain that there is no God, please prove it. And when I say prove it, you have to fundamentally prove that there is no God. So you have to prove a negative, which is impossible to do. You can't prove a negative. Therefore, there's no way to say that there is no God. Final Fantasy and a lack of paid classes. Discuss as go. I've heard there is summoners, though. Food acquired. I'm ready and set for alien shit. Curl Nick, thank you for the follow. Really fucking appreciate that. Alex, how you doing, bro? All right, so let's get into the alien discussion. Right now, the vast majority of people, I think, is starting to believe in aliens. How many people in chat right now believe in aliens? Morny, how you doing, brother? Well, we should change the fucking stream info. We will get into some Shadowlands talk, but let's just change it so people don't think they're jumping into a Shadowlands stream when really we're not talking about Shadowlands at the minute. I'm uncertain, in all honesty. All right, so I think a lot of people is starting to believe. A lot of people see that there is things happening. Now, for this theory to make sense, I'm going to ask you to forget all the horrible shit that happened during the Second World War. Don't even think about that. We're just going to be talking about what transpired within the Nazi Empire. Now, for those of you that don't know, the Nazis were incredibly open to witchcraft, to sort of the knowledge, the forbidden knowledge of the divine, right? They were practicing it. You had some of Hitler's highest generals being all over sort of witchcraft and the dark arts and the ideas of magic. But what very few people know is the Nazis were obsessed with UFOs. Like, Hitler had entire factories and secret locations dedicated to one thing and one thing only, trying to replicate UFOs, working with anti-gravitational waves, anti-gravitational engines, trying to figure out how to build these, what he would call the next level of the military, right? Because if you can build a UFO that works with anti-gravitational sort of sciences, right? So it builds its own gravity field, there would be literally no military that can stand against you. Because any bullet you fire at something that has its own gravity field would simply just bypass it, because it would literally get caught in the gravity field and then just be pushed aside. So there's no way to take down something like that. So they were very much working in this sort of area of magic. They went literally all over the world. There's literal scientists who worked for the Nazis, so Nazi scientists that I've watched a very recent documentary on, where they were talking about their research, and they were talking about how they were sent literally all over the world to find sites of UFOs, of UFO landings, UFO crash sites. They had private bases all over the world. Now, according to one of these people that spoke in this documentary, this is why I said take all of this shit with a grain of salt, because it gets sort of spooky. He said not only did they research it, they did it. They built UFOs. He said this wasn't just research for them, they built it. Then they spoke to a couple of people that lived next to one of these secret bases, and these people said, yeah, they saw things like that flying all the time, things like that moving around all the time, but they don't know if it was UFOs. It was just sort of weird-looking planes that Hitler and the Nazis were working on. And then one of these guys in the documentary actually comes out and he says, when America joined the Second World War, so at the moment that the Japanese fucking bombed Pearl Harbor, everyone, including the Nazis, knew that they were going to lose the war. They knew there was no way that they could stand against the whole world and America. So if America never joined the war, Hitler liked his chances. Once America joined the war, not so much, right? Hitler was like, well, maybe this is a bit much, right? I don't think we can stand against this. So this guy claims, and I'm just going to put this out there, and then you guys can fucking believe whatever you want to believe about this. But this guy claims that they discovered the Aryan race in the South Pole. I'm not talking about Hitler's Aryan race. This guy claims that they discovered an actual alien race in the South Pole, right? He claims that this alien race was imprisoned on Earth. Now, before you go, bullshit, dude, that makes no sense. Go back. There's a couple of sort of ancient empires that have very strange stories. So if you go back to the ancient Chinese empire, I can't remember what it was called. You go back to ancient Egypt, and you go back to the in South America. What were they called again? The Mayans, I think. Like the ancient Mayans. They all speak of gods that visited them. The Sumerian tablets, for example. The Sumerian tablets speak of gods that visited them on Earth. All of their gods had blonde hair and blue eyes. In fact, many people argue this is why Hitler was so obsessed with blonde hair and blue eyes Aryan race, is because of the stories of these ancient gods that visited them and shared the knowledge with them. Because according to them, all of them had blonde hair and blue eyes. Now, of course, most of us go, probably bullshit. Your god, maybe they just came up with something that looked very different to them, and that would have been white hair and sort of blue eyes or whatever. But this is what these guys claim. And they claim that this one guy claims that Hitler and the Nazis were never defeated. They simply left. Scientology is real. Styler, how you doing, bro? He claims that the Nazis were never defeated. So there's a bunch of things that probably backs this up. For example, we still have never seen, we've never had Hitler's body. His body was never recovered. They sort of claimed, well, his body was destroyed in a bombing, which some people have refuted and said, but hold up, that's impossible because the bunker that he was in was completely bomb-proof. There's no way that a bomb could have destroyed his body. So they sort of came up with a whole list of fucking reasons for why it could be true that the Nazis were never defeated, they simply escaped. And this guy claims, this one guy on the documentary, he claims that there's a super secret Nazi base in the South Pole, right? It's still there. Now, for those of you that don't know, the South Pole is probably one of the least visited places on Earth. No one ever goes there because it's very harsh. It's worse than the North Pole. So there's a few remote sort of locations where there's some scientific study, but the vast majority of it, no one goes there because it's too harsh. There's nothing that you can do there, and to survive there is very expensive. So he claims that there's a Nazi base in the South Pole, still to this day, still doing the research. Now, here's something, yeah, this is very fringe, so please don't listen to this and go, oh my god, Akelon believes this shit. I don't believe shit here. I'm telling you what I've heard, right? It's just interesting always to think about, but I don't believe any of this. I don't know what the truth is on this matter, so fuck knows. But there is actual military accounts, though, of something very shocking going on. Do you know that during the 1940s, the US sent 40 submarines to the South Pole to try and cut off the Germans? Because we know the Germans were in the South Pole. They sent 40 submarines. None of them ever returned. The 40 submarines were sunk, completely disappeared, right? Not only that, but the Americans weren't the only ones. Multiple times, nations tried to send military aid to the South Pole to try and stop the Germans. None of it ever returned. It was all just fucking destroyed. It's just gone. No one knows where it is. It's just gone. None of those military planes, none of the military U-boats, none of it ever returned. So this, by the way, isn't actually speculation. This is truth. This is actually true. Twitch been shit. Solid Snake, how you doing? So there's this idea that's being put forth that the UFOs that we see is in fact not UFOs. It's German technology. It's from this, because almost all of the UFOs that people claim to see disappear into the ocean. Like, they'll see them and they'll track them for a while, and then these things would just go into the ocean and they'd be gone. So their claim is that this is the Germans still sort of fucking around and sending out their planes to figure out where the world is at the moment and if it's time for them to return. Isn't there a theory that Hitler went to South America? There's so many theories about where Hitler may have ended up. I feel like the North and South Poles are literally just entrances into the inner world, aka the reverse inner Earth, with the core of the planet being the sun for them. I mean, that's getting into some real deep fucking speculation, right? There's a bunch all over. There's one off the coast of Japan too. To be fair though, are we talking about the Bermuda Triangle now? Alex, how you doing, bro? The Bermuda Triangle is bullshit, by the way. I mean, it got its rap because at the time it was very difficult to navigate and storms would be there a lot. But if you look at the amount of planes and ships and stuff that's gone down in the Bermuda Triangle, it's no more significant than anywhere else in the world. Like any other place in the world, ships go missing, planes go missing all the time because it's deep, right? And so it's very difficult to locate something that went down in that area. I went down a rabbit hole of the Bermuda Triangle because as a younger guy, I was very afraid of the Bermuda Triangle, and I thought, fuck it, I just never want to be there. And then I went through this rabbit hole, and they basically disproved it. They basically said, look, there's nothing there. It's just normal water. And these days, almost no one goes missing in the Bermuda Triangle. It happened long ago, but that's sort of been defeated. I think the triangles are where dragons live. I said what I said. Dragons. Interesting. After World War II, America and Russia divided up the Nazi scientists, and I think the UFOs we are seeing now is just secret tech that's been advanced since then. Stylen, the problem with that argument is, so here's my problem actually with the whole thing. Let's imagine that this is secret tech that the Russians and the Americans are sitting on, right? First and foremost, Russia's highest military people do not believe that it's American because they have spies in America that can tell them where America is at the moment. And America's top scientists do not believe that it's Russian because, again, they have spies everywhere. So, you know, doesn't really matter. But here's my biggest issue with the whole fucking ordeal. This silence from the government, the fact that no government wants to share anything about UFOs, to my mind, is actually keeping humanity back. How to Train Your Dragon was a really cool fucking movie. Most recent one, where the dragons went to live with the rest of their kind in the core of the world through the Little Maelstrom. I've not watched the most recent one, but I do know that Hollow Earth theory is a real thing. What's far more interesting to me is the fact that when they shot a probe into the moon, it actually fucking rung. The moon rung. It made a ringing sound when the probe hit the moon. So I am actually far more convinced that the moon might be hollow, because the moon's a very weird fucking thing. I think governments are actually trying to keep us back on purpose, even if they don't actually know about it. Here's the thing. My belief is that if you shared these things with the world, so let's say America is sitting on a massive amount of UFO info, and let's imagine Russia and all the rest are sitting on all this info as well. If you share it and you get the private industries involved, can you imagine how far we would be? Can you imagine how far along human technology would be at this point? Look, if we are still trying to figure out how to generate electricity in a optimal way, right? The best we have right now is nuclear, which is safe. It's safe for the environment. It doesn't destroy the earth. And it's actually better than coal, right? So nuclear is sort of the base that we have. But nuclear is nowhere near where it needs to be, right? We're still nowhere. We haven't even scratched the surface when it comes to nuclear energy and how to actually generate electricity from it. I'm trying to remember the two different terms, because you have fusion and then you have fission. I think right now we can do fusion, but we still can't do fission. Or is it the other way around? I always get mixed up by this. Always get fucking mixed up by this. It's the other way around. So we have fission right now. We don't have fusion. Okay. Fusion is the future, right? Fusion is the one that almost every government in the world is working on right now. Yeah. They're all trying to figure out, how do you do fusion? Because basically you'll be building your own sun. Zucchini, how you doing? Right? So you'll have unlimited electricity, unlimited power for basically the whole world. Now, just on the fact of nuclear waste, you do know that. So I think it's a room smaller than a football field that can contain all of the nuclear waste in the world at the moment. Nuclear waste is actually very easy to store. Yes, it takes hundreds of years for that nuclear waste to finally be safe, but storing it is not very hard. It doesn't take up as much space as people think it does. So I don't think nuclear waste is an issue, as long as they don't start throwing it into the fucking sea, right? That's where we should probably go, whoa, calm the fuck down. This is a bit, we're not building Godzilla here, for the love of cunt. Let's calm down. But as long as they store it nice, there's nothing wrong with it. And you have people like Bill Gates, right, that's sort of trying to work out how to do, for a lot of reasons, fuck Bill Gates. But in this instance, I do actually agree with him. They're trying to figure out how to do phase 2 nuclear power generation, which would be taking the nuclear waste. So after the cylinder has been used to generate electricity, there's still something like 80% energy left in that cylinder. We just at the moment can't tap it. So they're trying to figure out how to do phase 2, which would be to take the nuclear waste and use that to generate more electricity. so that we can eventually, the plan is to deplete the nuclear material that you need in order to generate power, right? Nuclear waste in France since the 60s can get inside a cube of 30 meters. Nuclear power is the least bad of all. Gatanov, absolutely agree with you there. Barry Bill Gates and nuclear waste, and problem solved. Valena, how you doing? We get all our energy off of Venus. Venus is a chemical nuclear dream world. Bro, we still can't even fucking go to Mars, and you want to start tapping Venus? Like, I'm with you. We should eventually become a spacefaring race, and we should start using other planets to basically extract everything that we need. But let's take one fucking problem at a time. Let's get to Mars first, and then we can try and figure out how do we tap Venus. Mars rover or humans? Humans. I mean, actual humans to Mars. But it's just the other way, right? It is a bit further, isn't it? Yeah, slightly further, I think. We are space pioneers. Look, I do foresee a world where human beings no longer live on Earth alone. This, by the way, whenever people say, well, we're never going to be able to do eternal life because the Earth is going to be way too overpopulated, my first answer is the limits of human population is 12 billion people, right? So once we get to 12 billion people, most scientists say that's where the equilibrium point will be. So we won't go higher. We'll actually start trending lower at that point. So the Earth can sustain currently, as things are with our technology, it can sustain about 12 billion people. But I don't think we're going to be on this Earth for that much longer. I think very soon we're going to have colonies on other planets. And that means that you'll probably be able to have there's probably going to be 30 billion or 200 billion people eventually just in our fucking solar system, right? All over the world, and maybe regular flights to Mars. Suddenly people aren't going to go to Mexico for holiday. They're going to fuck off to some exotic planet somewhere for holiday. Something like that, right? I just thought of this. The moon is actually a spy base installation for aliens, and they hide inside it, or the dark of the moon. Ace, that's one of my beliefs as well, is that the moon was built. Shouldn't we try to colonize the moon first? Well, the problem with colonizing the moon is there's nothing on the moon that we could use. It would be very difficult to colonize the moon because it doesn't actually, I don't think it has the ability to sustain life. You'd have to, the only way to sustain life on the moon would be to consistently supply it and resupply it from the Earth. So the moon would literally just become a drain on Earth's resources. Whereas I think Mars actually, while it doesn't have the same atmosphere as Earth, it does have one. So through technology, you could eventually, you could eventually turn Mars into a livable habitat, which is probably going to take thousands of years, right? But with technology and the right sort of technology, you could probably do it. Is there water on the moon? I don't know that. Probably left there by one of the fucking astronauts. Moon can be used only as a training center for space colonization. You could do that. In Mass Effect, the humans use the moon as sort of a forward base. I mean, if you have water, you sort of already have the building blocks for, right, for life. But Mars has no magnetic field, and this exposes it to massive amounts of solar radiation. CDJ, again, this is where technology would come in. Right? I think our world is going to look very different in 1,000 years from now. We're probably going to have the technology to build our own magnetic fields around planets if we need to. We're probably going to have the ability to do things that previously no one would have thought possible. Joker, I've never played Titanfall 2, but have you played Mass Effect? I think we're gonna cure aging and master quantum computing by the time the slow government lets us live on Mars. We are gonna be traveling wormholes before we explore Pluto. You think so? I don't know about that, Wildboy. That sounds like, I think we'll get to Pluto first before we start exploring wormholes. Instead of those relay points from Mass Effect to travel to other planets. Oh my god, that would be so cool. There is water on the moon, but it's frozen molecular ice crystals and not water we could drink. Ah, okay. In 1,000 years, we will have 9.2. It might take longer than 1,000 years, to be honest. Actually, Mars have a very weak magnetic field, but the problem is the ground there. It's toxic for us. No, not yet. I want to play. Everything can be fixed, right? Everything can be fixed. This is the thing with technology. We already, for example, have the technology. People are working on the technology to clean up our oceans, right? Which is a mixture of literally every scientific field you can think of. The most recent one I watched was a documentary about nanotechnology and how nanobots can actually be used to clean up the oceans. So basically remove the CO2 and all sorts of unwanted stuff from the ocean. You have nanotechnology now for the atmosphere, cleaning up our air, removing CO2 from the air and pumping more oxygen into it. So you have so much being made possible through technology that I don't think we're going to struggle in any way, shape, or form to start doing massive things on Mars, for example, where you eventually have nanotech, where it cleans up the soil and it builds a magnetic field and maybe even an ozone layer, right? That can trap the oxygen within it, even though Mars does have it. There's so much that I think we can do. We need O3. O3 is something that I think they're working on as well, trying to figure out how to pump more of that into the air. Needs a lot of work, but it's far better place to start rebuilding than the moon. Agreed. Also, Mars is far enough away that we can start exploring once we have a workable Mars colony, which of course I will not be joining right off the bat because I think the MS from Mars to World of Warcraft would be absolutely horrendous. So I will not be colonizing Mars. For anyone that had sort of wondered, I think upload times to YouTube would also be a fucking bitch on Mars. So we're not going to do that. I will wait for other people to do that. But I do think that once you have a workable colony on Mars, exploring the rest of the solar system becomes easier. I think black holes are just the opposite of a sun. When we get a Mars colony, we should start processing asteroids for material. I mean, we're gonna do that. Probably not in our lifetimes. I know a lot of people wish that in our lifetimes we'll be able to do it, unless of course we can get to the singularity, which I don't know how far we are from the singularity point. The singularity point would most likely save almost all of us, because that means we're gonna upload ourselves to the clouds, we're gonna get a new cyborg body, and we're gonna be good, right? You're gonna live forever as a fucking cyborg. No problems. If we can get there in our lifetimes, of course. But I don't know if we will be able to get there. Cask, thank you for the Prime sub, dude. Really fucking appreciate that. 30 months in a row. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I am feeling much better, Cask. Thank you very much for asking. Well, I'm feeling better in terms of I'm not sick. Feeling worse in terms of my country is run by a bunch of fucking morons. You've seen that video on Disney animatronics? I don't think I have. You all can go. I love Earth. Yeah, I probably would stay on Earth as well. What about the oceans? I know people say space is the final frontier, but what's your take on the oceans we've not explored all the way through? Moni, I think it shows where humanity comes from. If you look at every single ancient civilization, human beings have almost always been obsessed with the skies, right? Every ancient religion, every ancient culture, looked to the stars, and the stars became their gods, and they had sort of a very mythical view of space. And the fact that we have still not explored the oceans just shows where humans actually come from, right? Moonhaven, how you doing? So I don't think we're ever gonna, well, not ever, but I think it's gonna take a very long time before we get to the place where we'll explore the oceans in its entirety. Spider-Man that backflips and poses over the park, jumping like 50 feet. No wires, just a Spider-Man robot. Jesus. Already didn't speak about the sky and God in the sky is because we couldn't go there. Well, yeah, but I mean, we also couldn't go into the ocean, right? Not deep anyways, but we never really created too much. Now, you could say, well, the Romans did have their god of the seas, and the Greeks that have their god of the sea, and even to some extent the Norse mythology had gods of the sea or monsters of the sea, but none of that rivals the incredible amount of onus that we've always put on the skies. Like, the skies have always been something that really fucking destroy us, and we love the skies. We want to think more about the skies, and we want to get there at one point or another. Ocean, so I'm sure there's some interesting things from Earth's past that we need to make humanity a multiplanetary species. Planetary species, I agree. Ice-Cream is making life hard. Clear for a good stream today. Where are you in SA? Right, I'm in Pretoria. Ice-Cream is making things very, very fucking hard. I was supposed to start streaming about 2 hours ago, and I've only now been streaming for about an hour, and I have about another hour and a half left, and then it's power out again. So it's fun. I'm having a good time. I think Eskim is doing a great job of pissing me the fuck off, but I'm actually happy that Eskim is doing this. Uploads to the clouds. You say we are working towards that, and so do many religions. Coincidence? I don't think so. Repost of my own. Stage 4. Come to CT. It's slightly better. Why happy? Oh, Rowan, I'm happy that this is happening in South Africa because every single time the government fails to do things, I think more and more people's eyes are opening and realizing, hey, maybe our government shouldn't be trusted. Maybe the government isn't the fucking answer. Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if the elite already have the tech to travel to other planets with ease. Then I don't necessarily think so. I don't think so, because then they would have done it already. All right, chat, quick question. How many of you think we should explore the oceans before we start exploring the skies? Like Ra being main god in Egypt? Unless there is a technological rapture, we won't see interstellar travel. Yep, we can do both. Probably ocean. Oceans first, yes. I think we should do both at the same time. You see, I think we are going to do both at the same time. Because any sort of technology that will allow us to travel in space for incredible amounts of time will also allow us to explore the oceans. Because here's the thing, right? If we come up with anti-gravitational vehicles, for example, don't I drink water? I will drink now. I have my water right here. But if we came up with any sort of technology of anti-gravitational vehicles that could build their own gravity and sort of not have to rely on the gravity of the Earth, you'd be able to get into the oceans, into the deepest pits of the ocean, because the pressure would have no influence or impact on your vehicle, which right now might be the only thing that's really holding us back. Sweet Heat, thank you for the steal and sub. Really fucking appreciate it. 12 months in a row. Thank you. Happy to have you in the Fat Fuckers Club, Sweet Heat. All right, I just drank my water, Luna. There you go. Happy now? We need to come up with some kind of anti-grav tech first to deal with the insane pressure of the ocean. Well, they are working on it, right? That is exactly what they're working on. Anti-gravitational tech is the sort of holy grail of technology. Say nanobots? Well, we could probably do that too. I personally think we're going to do both. I don't think you're ever going to convince people to stop looking into the skies and wanting to get there first. You can already see it. People like Elon Musk, they're obsessed with spaceflight, right? Whereas there's not that many billionaires obsessed with ocean fare. But that does not mean that their technology isn't also going to save the oceans. Isn't also going to help us travel the oceans and explore the oceans and finally see what the fuck is going on there. My biggest thing. What's the one thing that you guys want to know about the ocean? Really, Moon? I've never had dreams like that. See, basically because I don't want to deal with weird things. Was Atlantis real? We should never have stopped the space program. We could have been so far in tech. Is it wait? I want to know. There's one specific thing that I want to know. There's so much that I want to know about the oceans. What creatures are in the wake down real? Are there Naga down there? Is there a Kraken? Honestly, I'm just curious what the heck is down there. Oceaneering is about it, but they sell mostly drilling tech to oil corps. Aqua Bounty engineers have their own type of fish. How deep is it really? What new animals are down there? So here's my thing. For those of you that don't know, there is a sound in the ocean that is very old, right? The first time they heard the sound, I think, was somewhere in the 60s or the 70s, where they heard the sound. It's only one. Like, from what they can tell, the creature that's making that sound is incredibly big. But there's only one of these creatures making that sound. And they've tracked this sound literally all over the ocean. It constantly moves around, so it tells them that this thing is alive, whatever it is. It does move around. But we've still not been able to locate it. We do not know what this creature is. And there's been several theories. There's been theories that this is some kind of very, very old whale that is the last of its kind, and it's sort of the cries that it makes is trying to find one other that they could mate with and sort of continue their species. So that's one of the beliefs. But I want to know what that is. What is that creature? So if we could fucking get to space or to ocean explorations, that's the only thing I want to know. Outside of that, I don't give a fuck, right? They're going to do a bunch of things that they're going to do. I just want to know what is that creature? Now, could it be that we awaken some very ancient, very bad shit way deep in the oceans? It's possible, right? Kind of just want humans to go to space so I can hang out on this planet, taking care of it and fixing up date zones. Luna, but I mean, you could do that now, can't you? What are your thoughts on Antarctica? There was that map from 500 years ago that perfectly shows the actual landmass under the ice, when it was supposed to be under ice for thousands of years and the continent was supposedly not discovered yet. I think under the ice is something that'll change our understanding of this planet's history. Velena, or something that's gonna fucking kill us, right? Because there are some ancient diseases in that ice that's been extinct for a very long time that may come back and completely fuck us. Now, I will say this. We do know that the Earth is sort of thawing at the moment, right? There was an ice age literally in the Middle Ages. They call it the mini ice age. So there was a mini ice age which just caused all of that to ice over again. And then, of course, it's sort of thawing at the moment. So the world is getting hotter because it's literally leaving an ice age. I don't exactly know if I want to know what's under the ice. Too many humans anyway. Not with all the red tape involved in going different places or the amount of money involved in traveling. But that's never going to change. You know, what makes you think that's going to change? Well, then we need to go full robot before that. Have you watched the movie called Underwater? If I'm not wrong, it does have this Lovecraft theme. Underwater is the one that has the girl from Twilight in it, isn't it? I watched that. I was very disappointed in that movie because I was hoping that I would see more of N'Zoth, more of Cthulhu, more of Lovecraft. And at the end, you just see sort of a small bit of him. So I was a little bit disappointed. Same time, pretty cool movie. Nothing wrong with the movie, but it could have been so much better. But that's my problem with every single Alien movie as well. Like, Alien movies usually, oh, aliens come to Earth. What happens next? War. And it's like, bro, why can't we go deeper into the actual lore, the story, the history, the what brought the aliens here? That's what I would love to see. But I'm referring more to a lost civilization that predates what we thought. The first ones popped up 6,000-ish years ago. But then if we're talking about old civilizations that did things that we never fucking understood, right? We can go back to ancient Egypt. the pyramids. You guys do know that even with today's technology, it would be very difficult for us to build the pyramids. Specifically, if you go with how it's aligned, right? The fact that the pyramids show true north. They literally face true north. They, not long ago, when the White House was built, this is what, 300 years ago when the White House was built, or 200 years ago when the White House was built? They tried, no, it's less than that. It's like 100 and... When was the White House built again? Let's say 200. Let's just make it a fucking even 200, even though I think it's less than 200 years. But anyways, they tried to do it where there's like 3 pillars in the White House that's supposed to face true north. Right? That's where the pillars are supposed to face. They're off. Like, they're completely off. They don't face true north. The pyramids do. They face true north. So the argument then becomes, how advanced were the creatures or the nations that built the pyramids? Because there's some mathematical shit that goes on in the pyramids as well that should not have been possible based on what we think it is. And the Egyptians actually, in their own history, say that they were the inheritors of great technology. They claim, at least their history claims, that they were not the ones who built the pyramids. October 1792, the start of the construction of the White House started. Excuse my English. Zarkanix, how you doing? Thank you very much. Okay, so more than 200 years, but still, if you look at how old the pyramids are, how could they have built it facing true north, and we couldn't do that 250 years ago, right? That could be a seed planet. I mean, there's a lot of evidence that suggests that Earth may in fact be, the Sumerians spoke about it, right? The Sumerians spoke that they were visited by gods that came with strange vehicles, and these gods taught them stuff. That's what the Sumerians, the ancient Sumerian tablets, claim that this is what happened. The Anunnaki, right? These are ancient claims from the Sumerians that I think... Why did they claim that? Religious leaders attack alien visitors. I'm gonna flip. Not just Egyptians. Also, there are pyramids in Mexico, Peru, and all aligned. Moonhaven, exactly. There is still half-carved big rocks and broken obelisks still found. I think there's a history on Earth that's lost to us. You want to know something really fucking scary? In somewhere in the Middle East, there's a very, very ancient religion that has sort of paintings of creatures that visited them. The creatures were half fish, half man. So they had fish heads, and they had male or human bodies. In Mexico, or in South America, there's an exact same picture from a different tribe. A very different tribe that has the exact same half fish, half human being that visited them. And in Asia, the exact same fucking thing. The exact same thing. Half fish, half man, sort of worshipped as gods in that in those areas. These are 3 places that... at least from what we know, right? These are 3 places that have never interacted with one another. They would not have had the technology to go from the Middle East to South America and from South America to Asia. They would not have had ships. They would not have had the ability to do that. So how the fuck did that happen? The argument could be made, maybe, that the alien race that visited us, that came here first, were a hybrid. Now, according to the Sumerians believe that humans are actually the result of genetic engineering. They use their own genes as well as the genes of an ape that they found to make human beings, right? That's what the Sumerians believe. That we are the result of genetic engineering by these ancient aliens, if you will. Other aliens died off, and we are what remained of a portion of their culture. Raphael, that's also possible. Hated humans in the Sumerian mythos. You had two. You had Enki, and then you had another one. What was the other one called again? It was sort of the two gods that they had. And those gods actually disagreed about something, which is also very fucking interesting. Enki and Enlil? I think those are the two, Enki and Enlil. One of them is considered to be almost the devil of the Sumerians. And the other one is considered to be the nice one. So they have the nice one, and then they have the more, not devil as in the Christian devil, but similar, not necessarily the nicest of the two. Do you know why they don't consider the other brother to be that nice? The most other animals? Tulip. Can't be right, Alex. Man, I want more games in the ancient era, like Conan, but more historical myth. Enki was the revered one. Enlil was kind of a tyrant who wanted humans dead. That's the one. Okay, so Enlil, right? Enlil believed in almost an accounting system. So Enlil's idea was that humans should be accountable. So there should be a stock take, for example. There should be control over human beings. They should be controlled. If human beings don't live according to the rules, they should be punished. And if human beings do live according to the rules, they should be rewarded. It's interesting that this is exactly what Satan wanted. In Christian mythos, the devil also believed that humans should be judged based on their deeds, right? So if you do good things will come to you, but if you do bad things will come to you, and you will sort of be judged based on that system. And this is one of the disagreements that the devil had as well. If you go into almost every religion, there is something similar. The ones who want to control and the ones who want freedom. Throughout history, all of our religions have always put those who want freedom as the nice ones, the ones that we revere, and those that want to control as the evil ones that should be that should be sort of feared, if you will. Isn't it funny how that still works today? Wasn't Eden when Cain was sent out? There is written that he met other people outside Eden and he found a wife, and it wasn't his sister. Zukimi, so according to Christians, and the only way I can speak about this is as someone who used to be Christian, who was brought up Christian. According to Christians, Adam and Eve wasn't the only people that God made, but it was God's people. This is why he spoke only about Adam and Eve, right? Because they were his people. They were the start of the Jewish people, which would become God's people, right? But there were other people made. Then there's another sort of belief that I would actually say I'm more in favor of. If you listen to if you go into ancient Hebrew, which no one speaks anymore, so it's very difficult to translate. But if you go into ancient Hebrew, you actually get the words that's used for Adam and Eve explains tribes, not people. So it's actually meant to describe a tribe called Adam and a tribe called Eve. So it's not just one person or two people. It's actually a myriad of people. It's a tribe of people that they're talking about. And that's the other sort of explanation for it. Not to mention, Flood from Christianity was a copy from Sumerian stories. There's so much in the Sumerian stories that is copied into modern day religion. A great example of this, once again, would be Jesus and the 12 disciples. You do know that story is the same in the Book of the Dead. which predates the birth of Jesus by about 2,000 years. The Book of the Dead predates the birth of Jesus, when Jesus would have been born, by 200 years, 2,000 years. Horus and his followers. Horus was also crucified upside down, however. Horus had 12 disciples, same as Jesus. So there's a lot of historical context. Now, Christians, like my father, for example, believe that this was simply, what's the English word for it? This was prophecy of what was to come. So this is what I think most Christians believe, is that it was prophecy rather than it just contradicting their religion, which is fine. You can believe whatever you want. We don't even know if Horus was real, so none of these were real, at least in my mind. But it does go back, and the question becomes, how far does it go back? Because the Sumerian tablets speak of very similar events. And could it be that the Sumerian tablets were based on something else? Noble doesn't talk about a group of people. It's modern human trying to keep saying Bible is right by modifying what is clearly said inside. They don't want the Bible to be wrong. I have a weird, very weird conspiracy theory for you guys if you're interested in another conspiracy theory. What if Earth was ordered, just like how Azeroth was, but life thrived more than order and technology meant to instill order on our planet was left to ruin? Raphael, I could get behind that. All right, so this one is get your sinful hat free. This one is a biggie. This is a biggie. We are venturing into modern day, well, slightly modern day, also some historical stuff. But we are now venturing into the realm of what everyone would sort of roll their eyes at almost immediately, and that is the Freemasons, the Illuminati, right? And this is very recently, I watched a video. It's a fucking 5-hour video by a guy who claims that he was part of the Freemasons. He claims that he was very deep in, he understood the stories, and he was saved when he gave his heart to Christ and he became born again. This is when he left the Freemasons. Now, I'm going to ask you guys a question first, right? Before we even get into anything else, I'm going to ask you guys a simple question here. How many of you sometimes look at things that's happening throughout the world and think it's a little bit suspicious? Like, it sometimes feels as if there's forces at work that we ourselves do not see, but as if someone is sort of guiding something in a way that doesn't necessarily naturally make sense. All right, seems there's quite a few of you. Let me just quickly go for a pee and leave you guys in suspense, because that's what you do. When you're a good content creator, you leave people in suspense. I just quickly need to go to the bathroom and also stretch legs. So go and stretch for like fucking 2 minutes. I'll be right back. All right. I'm back. Such shit and randomly stupid. Okay, so I hope everyone is back. I firmly believe that something weird is going on here, right? You take simple things, okay? Bill Gates, a guy that works invents Microsoft, right? Software. Zixix, thanks for 100 bits. I really fucking appreciate that.
I have a plan that can fix all problems in our world. Trust in the Arbiter. This is real. Once we herald the coming of the Arbiter, all problems will be solved, all store mounts will suddenly disappear, conduit energy will also disappear.
66, I appreciate the 100 bits. I really fucking appreciate that. And I would definitely not herald the coming of the Arbiter. She can go fuck herself. But anyways, back to this conspiracy theory. Bill Gates is a guy that invents Microsoft. He works on software. He's a fucking geek. Suddenly, a few years ago, this guy decides, nah, screw Microsoft. I'm going to start buying farms in Africa. And then I'm also going to start investing quite heavily in vaccines, right? Vaccine manufacturers. A few years later, we have a fucking massive pandemic. And not only Bill Gates, but a lot of the other billionaires are now pocketing big on the vaccines. Now, here's where things get really interesting. There are, and this is not, this by the way, is not, this is not conspiracy. This is really true. They've spoken to Freemasons in the past, like historical Freemasons, as well as historical writings that we have. There is a faction within the Freemasonry. Now, Freemasons is not conspiracy. Freemasons are everywhere. They have lodges literally all over the world. But there is a faction within the Freemasons that believe that if you want to fix the world, if you want the world to be a utopia, you have to limit the human population to 500 million. No more than 500 million people on Earth. And all of those people should be governed by a single body. So a single group of people. Now, here's where things get really fucking interesting. And again, none of this is taken from the Georgia Guidestones. Exactly that, Velena. Exactly that. I forgot exactly what it was called. I knew it was the Guidestones, but I couldn't remember what the, like, where they are. But the Georgia Guidestones is like, it's literally the first line on it, right? The first line on the Georgia Guidestones says limit human population to 500 million, right? There's also a prince that died a few years ago that had the same belief. He was a Freemason, and he also said if he could have one wish in his lifetime, it would be to limit the human population to 500 million. Which, just think about this for a second. The amount of evil that would have to transpire to limit human population to 500 million. Think about the evil that would have to transpire for that to happen. The amount of people that you would have to kill in order to get to 500 million, right? It's sickening if you think about it. I mean, it would make people like Stalin proud, but for the rest of us, it would be a bit of a fucking hampering, right? But anyways, let's not dwell on that too much. This is according to many, this is Freemasonry. This is what the Freemasons hold on to. Now, here's where things got really fucking spooky for me. This guy actually takes texts from Freemason books, so historical books about the Freemasons, where they say that they suffered a great defeat with the invention of Christianity. Christianity was the defeat that they did not foresee. Another thing that was very interesting about these books, do you know how they seek to control humanity? Through atheism. Freemasons believe that atheists are vile. It's literally the words that they use for atheists. Vile and disgusting. They call them stupid. The Freemasons believe that atheists are stupid. But they love them. They love atheists because they hold true to the belief, right? If you stand for nothing, you'll fall for everything. which I think we can see in our world today. There are people that will slurp up and gobble up literally anything that their television tells them to do, right? If CNN goes out and says, you have to gobble a cock in order to be safe, you'll see a bunch of people on their knees gobbling cocks all day just to feel safe, right? This is sadly, I'm vile too, by the way, but this is what they believe. They believe that this is the way to control humanity is by using the vile to actually fuck themselves. Now, they believe fundamentally that they were defeated by Christianity. Now, this is where things, I think, Angwar, take care of yourself, enjoy your raid. This is where I think things get really interesting. How many people here, do we have any Christians in the house? And if you don't want to say, you don't want people to know, that's fine too. But do we have any Christians in the house? Gildana, this is from their books. They believe that atheists are evil. This is not from Christians. This is from their books. Gnostic Christian, I guess. Yes, but I'm Orthodox. All right, so how many of you that is Christian believe that Jesus is all about love, all about forgiveness, all about beauty in the world? Race Christian is also fine. Flying Spaghetti Monster or myself? Freemason should respect my religion. All right. The truth is, Jesus is none of those things. In fact, Jesus was one of the biggest political activists in the history of the world ever. Jesus upset every single system in ancient Rome, to the extent that the Romans had to, well, they tried to kill every single Christian until finally they realized it doesn't work. These Christians are willing to die for their fucking religion, right? And then you finally had, I think it was Nero. Was it Nero? No, what's Constantine? You finally had Constantine say, okay, we have to fucking stop this because they're not going to stop. They're not going to stop. So we have to codify this religion and say, it's fine, you're allowed to believe this, right? Jesus was an upsetting force within the universe. Very little of what Jesus did had anything to do with love. But here's where things get really interesting. In the Bible, if you do not read the Bible like I would do and my brother would do, if you do not read the Bible as a religious person, you simply read it as historical text, right? So rather than reading it as some kind of divine message, which I don't have a problem with, by the way, just want to sort of state this. I have no problem with people who are religious. My entire family are devout Christians. I love them to death. I have no issue with people believing in whatever makes you feel better and whatever gives you purpose in your life. You're more than welcome to have that. Sometimes I think it would actually be nice to have something like that. Now, if you read the Bible simply as a person that wants to see the historical accuracies or the historical text, as it were, Jesus spoke about a very specific group that was the enemy of man. A very specific group that was the enemy of man. Jesus says, and I do apologize that this is English. All the Bibles that I've ever read was in Afrikaans, so I'm literally translating this as we're fucking speaking, right? But Jesus says, now the only enemy that remains is the mortal mind, right? This is after he dies at the cross and after all sins are forgiven. He says that the mortal mind is the only enemy that remains. Satan, right, the devil, is, according to Christianity, the one who wanted to control, who wasn't happy with free will, who didn't believe that humans should have free will, who didn't believe that humans should simply be forgiven for their sins, but that rather humans should be punished for their sins. If you are sinful, you should be punished. This was his belief. Now, if you think about the Freemasons and you think about what the Freemasons want, if, of course, all of the conspiracy theories are true, They want to control. They want absolute control. We've all heard this, right? We've all heard the fucking stories about the Great Reset and the belief that the Great Reset is somehow... we've all heard this, right? You will own nothing and you'll be happy. Which I don't think these people have ever met humans, because if you're not going to own anything, there's very little that's going to make you happy, right? I've never heard that version of Jesus. Alex, which version of Jesus? The version where he upset the entirety of the fucking universe around him. I mean, he upset the status quo so much that they crucified him for it. I wanted to say hang. They actually crucified him for it. Because he literally tipped over the apple cart. So no, Jesus speaks about what fucking passage is it? I would have to, but the carnal mind, I think it is. The only enemy that remains is the carnal mind. Trying to see. Give me the fucking quote, bro. Oh my god, now it's giving me a bunch of people explaining the fucking the fucking quote. Literally just giving me the quotes or the explanations of the quote, not the quote itself. But anyways, it's somewhere. Can't remember what book it is, but it is somewhere in the New Testament where Jesus says the only enemy that remains is the carnal mind. So at the end of the day, if you have to watch this in this discussion. There's one guy. He was the winner of the UK Idols. I don't know what his fucking name is. But it's 5 hours of this guy talking about everything that the Freemasons have planned for the universe. How many of you believe that the Freemasons is, if not an evil organization, a dark organization? Competition with Mithra at the time to be the super god of the Romans. Sathix, you don't have to agree. I'm just asking, how many people believe that it's a dark organization? Not evil, just dark, right? For whatever reason, you could believe whatever you want, right? My views is they want to control so we don't fuck up fully. See, I have a problem with people that want to control in general, but here's my biggest problem with the Freemasons. Whether they're good or bad doesn't really matter, but here's my biggest issue with the Freemasons. Why all the secrecy? I'm not telling all of you, any of you here, that our conversation here should be secret. Am I? Why would I? What's the fucking point? I'm not saying anything that other people can't know, right? I'm not harboring any sort of secret that could destroy me. So I don't mind that you go out here and you go talk about anything that we've spoken about here. However, when you have an organization that is so mired in secrecy, and I have a friend, by the way, that is in the Freemasons, and I've asked him before, like, what do you guys do? What do you talk about? And his only answer ever is, I'm not allowed to talk about it. We're not allowed to talk about what happens in the lodge. And I've asked him before, like, doesn't that bother you a little bit? Like, why not? And he's like, well, nothing evil happens. And I'm like, yeah, but then why the fuck can't you talk about it? If nothing bad is happening in there, then if you guys are saving kittens from rivers, would you not want to talk about it? Because that's a good thing. Many people would like that. So if you guys weren't doing anything sort of weird, right? Why would you not want people to know about it? And why all these levels? And when you get to level 33, that's where things get really fucking spooky. Because you don't even know of all the level 33 Masons out there. That's where things get really fucking spooky. Now, according to many of the conspiracy theories that I've read and sort of heard, there is not a single leader in the history of the world that isn't a Freemason. And they've sort of highlighted a lot of things. One of the things that I've heard actually a couple of times now before. Well, also, Natora, you can't actually join the Freemasons, right? You can only be invited into the Freemasons, which is also pretty big. But one of their... So they have signs, and this I know for a fact. My friend actually told me this. They have signs, and the reason they have these signs is actually just because if you go to any country in the world, and this is what he was told as well when he joined the Freemasons, if you go to any country in the world, and you don't know anyone, using these signs, these ways of greeting people, these ways of standing, the ways of using your hands, will show other Freemasons that you are a Freemason as well, and they'll help you, right? So if you need help, these Freemasons will reach out and they will help you. One of the signs is one hand sort of in your jacket. So if you're wearing a jacket, one hand in the jacket like this. Another sign that they have, for some fucking reason, God knows why, but is one hand over the eye. So literally covering your one eye. And I think the reason for this might be the all-seeing eye that they're very big believers in. All of their signals and signs and sigils have this pyramid with the one eye on it. And this guy actually goes through a shit ton of magazines and movies of people closing one eye, or people sort of taking pictures with the one eye, sort of they'll do this where only the one eye shows, right? So you can only see the one eye. All of that is the eye, and it's meant to show that you are part of this group. It's meant to show that you are part of this group. Interesting book on Freemasonry is The Last Symbol. The Last Symbol was fucking amazing. One of the reasons I love Dan Brown so much, Inferno is another very good book of his, but one of the reasons I love Dan Brown so much is he does so much fucking research. Like he always says in his books as well, all of this, like all of the places that I've used, the sort of historical things that I've used is actual history. It's actual facts or actual theories and stuff that he found, and then he uses that to create these incredible stories. Now, I think it's in Inferno where the Freemasons actually make a pandemic. They start a pandemic. I think it's Inferno where they're trying to release a virus on the world. The age of information and deception, somehow, some way, we are making knowledge our greatest enemy. That's why I like his book so much, because he uses real information. And the Tom Hanks saves the world, the zombie virus. Yes. It's how the fuck did he come up with that? Explain that to me. How did he come up with that? By the way, there's claims that Fauci is part of the Freemasons as well. Like they've looked at how he greets people, like his handshakes, as well as some of the gestures and stuff that he does whenever he's talking on television. And Freemasons claim that he is a Freemason. Wait, is the Last Symbol not gonna have Tom Hanks in it? Who's gonna be the main character then, Digit? Tom Hanks did a pretty good job. Who will become the zombies? The vaccinated or the rejectors of it? Let's ready our popcorn for the zombie apocalypse. Pull the trigger, I don't know. So I'm lucky in South Africa, I can't get the vaccine. There's no vaccines for ordinary people in South Africa yet. So unless you're a doctor or a nurse, you can't get it. And even doctors and nurses are still waiting to get their vaccines. So I guess in that sense, I'm lucky. I'm not against vaccines, if we've discussed previously. I'm not against vaccines. I think vaccines are a good thing. I've had all of my vaccines and all of my shots. I just don't think it should be rushed as much as it is, and then people should just fucking inject themselves with something that was rushed. Really not a fan of the movies, though I did enjoy Tom Hanks's Langdon, but the books are so much better. The books are better, but I still love movies. I think North Korea is also anti-Freemason. I don't think the Boy King can accept another force dominating people in his country. Well, of course they are, but that's why they're suffering right now. Also, I was watching, and this is Zukimi, thank you much for hanging out. Really appreciate it. Take care of yourself. I was watching this video of a girl speaking to Jordan Peterson, who's from North Korea, whose family escaped North Korea. Bro, the fucked up nature of that fucking regime is insane. Young Robert Langdon is played by Ashley Zuckerman. I don't know who the hell that is. Ashley Zuckerman. Who the hell is that? Oh, he would actually make a good Langdon, I think. My only problem that I often have with things like this is why. Or at least I should say, up until yesterday, my only problem with this was why. Who would have the actual... like, why would anyone dream of world domination? Like, why would anyone dream of taking over the whole world or ruling the whole world? Like, I mean, it's so much work. If you think about it, how much work do you have to put in to try and figure out a strategy that could run the whole world? That's an incredible amount of work. More than what I would ever be interested in doing, right? I don't see how people could do it. And then yesterday... my brother actually, I didn't do this myself, my brother did this. He went into this whole Alexander the Great rabbit hole on YouTube just because he got a he got a speech from Alexander the Great when his army was about to turn on him. And Alexander the Great was so fixated on ruling the world, on conquering the whole known world, that he didn't even take the time to set up a proper line of succession. So when I was looking at him, I thought to myself, okay, that makes sense why people would do this. Sophia, thank you so much for the 5 community subs. Really fucking appreciate that. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Give some love in chat for Sophia and the 5 community subs. I really appreciate that. Sophia, how are you doing? Be better off shaping a good, open, loving world and improving yourself in it. Yeah, but it seems like a lot of these... it seems like a lot of these rich people don't want that. They want to control. That's the feeling that I get. A lot of these rich people have some sort of weird... some sort of weird fucking thing with control and hoping or trying to control the whole world. And you hear it so often from these fucking assholes. Bill Gates with his bullshit of, oh yeah, he understands people are suffering, but they're going to have to stay in their homes for another 2 years. It's like, listen, you motherfucker. You're not the guy starving? You're not the guy whose house is about to get fucking taken by the bank? What are you saying? Digit, what are you offering? I see you're offering Zofia anything in return. Is that an open offer, or... I'd never dream of controlling more than 150 people, very loosely as a tribal leader. I wouldn't even want to control 150 people. Quite frankly, I would want to control no one. A feast. What kind of feast, Digit, are we talking about here? DM'd you on Twitter about something? Hold up. Quickly check it out. If you cause stress, you worry and live in stress. I don't know if I would necessarily say I believe in karma. Ah, that's fucking interesting. Well, now I would actually love to do that. Thoughts on a ruling council, Council of Elders. So, Nico Spider, how's that different to what we have now? I mean, Britain's aside, how's that different? You have Parliament in most countries, or you have the Congress and the Senate in the US. But how's that different? Isn't that supposed to be the council, the ruling council? I agree, Velena. So I will say this. Government was supposed to be the servants of the people, right? That's literally what government was supposed to be. They were supposed to be the servants of the people. Instead, we have become the servants of the government. And if you don't agree with me, if you don't think that's true, try not paying your taxes. Like, just do a little experiment. Next month, don't pay your taxes and see what happens to you. And then you tell me whether or not you are in fact the ruler of the government, or the government is the ruler of you. Or, you know, maybe don't pay your taxes, but then tell the government, hey, I'm not paying my taxes because you guys are spending it on stupid shit. See how far you go, right? The problem is that human beings have always been divided into two groups of people. Those who want to live their own lives and those who want to live other people's lives for them. So the controllers and the freedom fighters, let's call them that. Whenever you have a government, you will almost always end up with the people who want to control taking government. You know what's... It's really fucking weird when you start to look at people who are supposed to serve being some of the richest people in a country. And if you don't think that's true, go take a look at the bank accounts of every single congressman, man and woman, and every single fucking senator. They're all stupidly fucking rich. Even the ones that go tax the rich. Just they keep moving the goalpost, of course. First it was tax the millionaires, and then they became millionaires, and now it's say tax the billionaires. And once they become billionaires, they'll go tax the trillionaires. Or tax the multi-billionaires. But there's the goalpost is always going to move, but tax whoever is higher than me seems to be the going rate. I don't know if you guys saw, what's that goal called? Do you guys know Nico Lol? Do you guys know who Nico Lol is? Please tell me someone in this fucking chat knows who Nico Lol is. All right, this is the Bernie goal. Now, I just want to say, before anyone gets offended, you should all get offended because I'm talking against both Republican and Democrat. They're all fucking evil. So, you know, if you want to get offended at that, rather than getting offended at me talking about some Democrat fucking senator being a millionaire and talking about taxing the billionaires. They're all evil. They're all fucking useless. Don't worry about it. They're all stupid. But okay, Nico Lol she's the OK Boomer girl. That girl that did the OK Boomer with the Bernie shirt on. She actually had shirts, and she believes this. She believes that you should tax the rich, right? She had a shirt on that said tax the rich, tax the rich. And then she just released a video, I think like a few weeks ago, where she's showing people her $2 million apartment. $2 million apartment. And guess what her reasoning is for why tax the rich is still the way to go. Even though this girl is capitalizing on capitalism in every single fucking way, shape, and form, guess what her reason is for why tax the rich is still the way to go. Cocky bro, how you doing, bro? Because in her mind, Zako said so, that's the way to be. Desork, how you doing, bro? That's the way to be. Just be triggered at all times and everything. Her reasoning for why tax the rich still applies, even though she now lives in a $2 million fucking apartment, is millionaires are not rich. I fuck you not. That is literally what she said. Millionaires are not rich. I mean, fuck me. If a millionaire is not rich, then what the fuck is rich? Because if you have $1 million, you're probably set for life, unless you spend it on stupid shit, right? But that's literally what she said. She said, tax the rich means tax the billionaires, because now that I'm a millionaire, it no longer matters, right? now that I'm a millionaire, don't tax me, tax the billionaires. That's literally it. It's constantly moving the goalposts, and you have senators and congressmen constantly trying to fix the issues that they themselves fucking create. This is why I say trust no one. Sounds like entitlement to me. It's all entitlement. Notice how the old Bernster used to talk about millionaires, and then when he became one, from his book sales, his rhetoric all of a sudden only was billionaires. But that's the thing, right? If you think that you can lay claim to someone else's handiwork, you can't say that when it's gonna negatively affect you. Wild Boy, I don't think there's any politician in the history of the world anywhere that actually gives a fuck about their people. They are all there for their own benefit. And they play the stupid people like a fucking fiddle, because they stand up before any election and they promise a bunch of shit that's never gonna happen. It's never gonna fucking happen, right? But they promise the shit. The stupid people then vote for the shit because they go, oh my god, I'm gonna get some free shit. Nothing is free. There's no such thing as a free lunch. Someone's paying for it somewhere. This is fact. Someone is paying for it. And I heard the most amazing fucking quote earlier today, which is, it just blew my fucking mind. You know what politicians are doing nowadays? They are... So, almost every country in the world right now is in a bit of a big fucking problem, right? We all have massive trouble, and it's coming fast, right? There's going to be a point where it's going to hit us, and no one's going to know what the hell's going to happen. But you can basically look at it as a wagon, and then horses that's pulling the wagon. There is a bunch of people that is sitting inside the wagon, and then the taxpayers, us, we're pulling the wagon, right? The other people, they're the ones who get the free shit. They're sitting inside the wagon. Now, the problem is that thanks to what the politicians are doing, more and more people is moving from pulling the wagon to sitting in the fucking wagon. And what do politicians do every single time they promise shit? They tell the people that's pulling the wagon to pull harder. Whenever there's a problem, whenever something goes wrong, the government simply goes, print more money, and you fuckers that's pulling the wagon, pull harder. No one ever tells the people in the wagon, get the fuck out and pull, right? That never happens. The people in the wagon just keep getting free shit, while the other people keep pulling the fucking wagon, trying to get the wagon over the finish line, when really the only option is to tell the people in the wagon, get off your fucking asses and go pull the wagon. this shit's not going to keep going, we can't keep doing this. And every country in the world right now is in the exact same place. I just heard, what is it? America's going to give $2,000 to every single American soon, I think. Svardreki, thank you for the follow, dude. Really fucking appreciate that. Welcome to the channel. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Think Biden's new plan is to give every American $2,000. Is that right? Yeah, it's 2,000 US dollars. But it's going to be taxed, so it's not really $2,000. But that makes no sense. So the government is going to give you $2,000, then tax the $2,000 and get less back than what they fucking gave out. How does that work? Might be 1,400, might be 2,000. That's sort of who the fuck knows at this point, right? Whatever Biden says, it's difficult to understand anyways to begin with. Because let's be honest, the guy should not be president anymore. They should get someone else in there. I don't think Biden knows half the time where the fuck he is. And this comes from someone that I have no dog in the fight. I don't care who's the president of the United States of America because they're all bad. But I've listened to so many speeches of that guy where I'm left sitting... The fuck did he say? With Trump, it was bad because he would say stuff and you would be like, I don't think that was the question. Like, someone would ask him a question, he would answer the whole question, and then you would sort of go, was that the fucking question that was asked there? Because I'm pretty sure that was not the fucking question, but you just answered it anyways, right? You just sort of made up your own questions as you went along. Like, somewhere after the question was asked, he would not answer this instead. With Biden, it's a case of, did he actually say something? I don't think he said words there. Whatever the fuck he said, those are not words, right? And then you have Kamala Harris, which just made this sort of weird fucking thing where she was asked from someone, some reporter from NBC asked her about the border and if she's going to go to the border. And she said, basically she said no. And he said, why aren't you going to the border? Why haven't you been to the border yet? And she said, well, I haven't been to Europe yet either. And it's like, yeah, that's the same. What are you fucking talking? It's not the same question, right? People are asking you, are you going to go see what the crisis at the border is like? And you go, well, you know, I haven't been to Europe either. Yeah, but there's not a crisis for America to solve in Europe. What the fuck are you talking about? But anyway, so it's the more money printing. I would actually love to know, and again, no judgment. This is in this chat. I genuinely do not judge anyone, but I do want to ask: how many people in chat right now thinks that the government that keeps printing money is very bad? That's or I would say come to South Africa, but that would be a very, very bad idea. Do not come to South Africa. Wherever the fuck you want to go, don't go to South Africa. Don't come here. This place is fucked. Guatemala, that counts, I guess. No, because I don't hold cash. It's the start of a very dangerous slope. The problem with the money printing is it's creating a problem that I don't know if there's an end to it. And the biggest issue, which I think the rest of the world needs to catch on to, if you live in another country, if you live in Europe, if you live in Asia, if you live in South Africa, I hate to break this to you, but you guys do realize that if America goes down, you go down too. Right? You do realize that America going down isn't just an American problem. It's a world problem. And if you don't believe me, what happened in 2008? How many of you were saved in 2008? None. Because guess what? Most of the countries owe money to the US banks. Most of the countries are owned by the US banks. If those banks go bankrupt, which they probably will, your countries are footing the bill. So, Stray, how you doing? A world debt for a long time now? Yes. 60% of the total USD ever printed was printed in 2020. It's creating massive inflation. It's going to come crashing down very soon. The US economy just hit 2008 recession levels. The problem is It's not even 2008 recession levels. The recession has not even started yet. Let's be very clear on what the issue is for the world here. America is not in a recession at the moment. America is going into a recession. The problem is, if you look at every single metric, it looks as if America should be at the depths of a recession. Homelessness, unemployment, inflation. It looks as if it should be at the end of its recession, starting to go back up. But the recession hasn't started yet. So you're basically in the basement already, as Peter Schiff said. America is in the basement already, having to go down. There's no down, right? There is no down. You're in the basement already. It's not as if you have a couple of floors that you can fall before you get into the basement. You're in the basement. Dungeon from the basement? That's pretty much where we go now, right? I made a Dragonbound in owl form. I finished it now. Oh, straight. That sounds cool. Government is digging for us already. Oh, yeah, they've started. It's going to be epic. It's going to be epic. The question is just, what are we going to do afterwards? Unemployment is so high because they are paying everyone $800 a week in unemployment benefits. Johnny Nemo, that's not the only reason unemployment is as high as it is, right? So this problem really started in the 90s. So the late 90s, early 2000s. It actually started way earlier. Started in the 80s already. But when the dot-com bubble burst, what did the government do? The government printed money, right? They bailed out all of these big investors and all of these big banks that had lost millions, if not billions of dollars, right? All of them got bailed out. Now, what do those bailouts do? Well, they create false senses of security. America has lived in a world of too big to fail for the last 2 decades, where you have companies that genuinely believe that they can do whatever the fuck they want because nothing's going to happen to them. And they're not wrong. The government will keep bailing them out for as long as the government can bail them out, which is, of course, the biggest fucking issue of them all. But let's not even talk about that. So what it's created is this sort of weird area within the marketplace. Now, before people start to think, well, this is just capitalism. This has nothing to do with capitalism. Whenever the government funds the economy, so whenever the government prints money, that's no longer capitalism, that's socialism. Because the government, the state, has now gotten involved with business. This is what socialism is. Another word for socialism is statism. Statism is where the state involves itself in the marketplace. So America's been a socialist country for the last 2 decades at least, right? Where the government keeps printing money to bail out the corporations. What does this tell the corporations? Well, it tells them they can do whatever the fuck they want because if they make a bad bet, they'll get saved. This means that money moves to all the wrong places. Rather than businesses actually taking their money and investing it back into the business to create more jobs, to create more economic flow, what do businesses do? They throw it into sort of bad investments because they know that they'll be safe. If they go bankrupt, the government will simply come and bail them out. So they just start spending on stupid shit that does not help anyone else in the economy. So you want to know why people aren't going out looking for work? Because the entire workplace of the US is sick. It's ill because of government spending. Government has made it to the point where the vast majority of Americans can't find a job that would pay as much as the government does. But it's not because of these checks. It's because of stuff that happened long ago. And it's now finally catching up to the US. The US is now finally at a place where it's going to get very bad very soon. I love The Big Short. You see, the whole point of recessions and why recessions are actually very good. Recessions are like wildfires, right? Fire isn't bad, by the way. If a forest catches fire, that's not a bad thing. Because in the wake of the fire, new plants are born. New plants can grow. More space is created. So fires are a very good thing. This is what recessions are. Recessions is the ability for the market to reprice itself, to fix itself. So the market was sick. The market then had to die, and new companies had to be born. New businesses had to be born. This is why recessions are actually very good for the market. Recessions are created by government spending, and then the recession is the economy trying to fix itself. If the government didn't spend money in the economy, then the economy would not have a recession because there would be no bubbles to burst. But, that's a whole different story. The government then fixes the recession by spending more money. So basically, more of the disease, less of the cure. Which is, sadly, there seems to be only one country in the world right now that understands how this should work, and that's Germany. Germany, I think, is one of the only countries in the world that entered the COVID era with a positive balance sheet, living austerity with austerity, right? So the German economy is actually the one economy that doesn't waste money. They don't give their citizens free shit. They don't spend above their means. Most of the German economy actually goes to save Europe and all the countries that's getting fucked in Europe, right? So Germans live with austerity all the time, whereas the rest of Europe lives because Germany basically bails them out. But Germany is the only one at the moment that I can see in the world, and of course this was prior to COVID. Now with COVID, Germany has just gotten... They've also started spending money as much as as much as they fucking can, right? We are giving out free money all day for a year now, Benny, but that's because of now, right? I'm talking pre-COVID levels. Now with COVID, things have gotten a lot worse, right? So now Germany has joined the rest of the world in a complete and utter fuck up, where the only way is down. The question is, how many of you think that's a good thing? There's only one reason why I don't think it's a good thing. Because people are going to go back to blaming the things that's easy to blame. They're going to blame things like immigrants. And when I say immigrants, I'm not talking about illegal immigration. I'm talking about actual immigrants. There's nothing better than immigrants. Immigrants is the heartblood of every single economy. Why? Because people uplift their entire lives to try and make a better life for themselves somewhere else. So those are usually some of the hardest working people in the world, is immigrants, right? Illegal immigration is a different story, and it comes with a lot of bad shit. But actual immigration, people are going to blame immigrants. They're going to blame the poor, when the poor are not the people that created this problem. In fact, the poor were created because of government. So people are going to blame the things that's easy to blame, and no one is going to look at the actual fucking problem that is staring them right in the face. And it's those people that stand in front of thousands of people on television and tell them, we know what is best for you. Nigga Spider, that's a very good analogy. It's an absolute joke. The costs just go through... everything is absurd. About 13k for my friend's Iranian wife to go through everything and become a citizen. One of the reasons I can't move to the US is because it's so fucking expensive and such an arduous process. I mean, it's almost impossible to get into the US. You see, I'm a firm believer in an open system. My message... I don't see a single one of your messages, Velena, that was blocked. About our system is. So I'm actually a firm believer in an open border system. But that would require the whole world to change as well. I believe that the world, you should be able to go wherever the fuck you want to go, regardless of where you were born. And you should be able to make a life for yourself wherever you go. The mod settings would then be Twitch's mod settings, Velena. I'm looking through the list here and I don't see any message from you that was blocked. The last message I have of you is 6 minutes of total USD ever printed. Actually, no. That's why crypto is so popular. People know the crash is coming and that USD will never recover. The problem is, of course, how many of you think crypto is going to crash with the world economy? That's an interesting question. Moonhaven, I don't think one world, one country. That I don't believe in. right? I think the world should be based on an ideological perspective. So, for example, let's imagine we have two countries in the world. Let's imagine we have South Africa and we have America, right? These are the two countries in the world. South Africa is a complete communist country, right? Where people pay 100% in taxes and the government gives them everything for free. Well, not free, but 100% of their labor gets them whatever they need to do. America is a complete libertarian state, right? Where capitalism rules and people do whatever the fuck they want as long as they don't hurt other people. It's a complete libertarian state. The world that I envision as the best world to be in is a world where if you are a communist and you believe in communist values, you should be able to move to South Africa and live under a communist regime. If I am a capitalist and I don't believe in communist values, I should be able to move to America and live in a capitalistic society. And everyone should be free to make their decisions based on the country that they want to live in, that they agree with most. But this would require that the whole world realize that freedom of people to move is sort of necessary, right? I think crypto is the next .com bubble. I just think crypto is very, very risky. I'd say if crypto fails, so many people will be screwed, and guess who is pulling the cart even harder? So Dasork, I have crypto, right? I hold almost all of my savings in crypto. The cryptos that I have, though, is not Bitcoin. I do not have any money in Bitcoin. The cryptos that I do have are cryptos that I believe is going to be the saving grace of the world, because these are cryptos that have actual good technology behind them that can eventually be used to become the next world monetary system, which is sort of why I'm holding my money in that crypto. I'm not entirely sure, but I think cryptos have gone down quite heavily the last few days. Like, I know Bitcoin has sort of fucking gone right into the dumpster fire. Like, Bitcoin has been smashed the last few days. Actually, no, I'm lying. All of my cryptos are up. Ooh. Nice. Okay, never mind. All of my cryptos are up. I have ADA. Yes. Get on board with that. The point being that you can go and live wherever the fuck you want. Moonhaven, yes. That to me is the perfect system. A system where you live wherever you want to live because you feel that that's the best system for it. ADA is one of my biggest holdings. Ethereum is another one of my big holdings. I have some VeChain. I have some World Token. Because I don't see what's going to happen once the world economy comes crashing down. What's going to save it? Are being done on purpose. They're trying to force fear selling as they can buy it up cheap on the dip. A lot of people look at crypto. I agree with that, Vilena. A lot of people look at crypto as only currency. BTC is that essentially, but say like Ethereum, ADA, Chainlink, etc. is a technology, smart contract that feels very similar right now to how the internet was in the early 90s. Even rhetoric about crypto is hilariously similar to how people talked about the internet in the early 90s. You'll have to share that with me at some point. I just don't make enough to risk a good chunk of change. Dasork, so it's... I mean, I don't make a crap ton of money, right? If you look at how much I invest in crypto, it's about $350 a month that I have to spare, that I sort of invest in crypto. But over the last 6-7 months, that's become a rather nice chunk of change. That sort of, and every single time the crypto markets go down, I smile because I can just buy it for cheaper. Chunk of change also. Most people only throw a low amount in each month. You buy however much you want. That's exactly what I do. A simple solar event where our sun has mass coronal ejections will make any crypto become instantly useless. Cash will be king. It's only a matter of time when we go back to silver and gold. Pull the trick of the problem with silver and gold is getting it. I would live in some of the northern European countries if I could cause the weather would help my joint problems. Please remember that Akko is just doing his own thing. Oh yeah, I'm not giving advice here. I'm not telling you where to invest your money. If you want to invest your money in sex dolls, you can do that because there's probably going to be a massive future for sex dolls at some point. Invest your money wherever the fuck you feel like it. I like crypto. Mainly because I am a libertarian and I do believe in freedom above all else. So for me, cryptos is sort of the be-all and end-all of my existence, if you will. Will we talk about WoW? Pull the trigger. We kind of went a little bit too long. My power is going out soon, so I don't really have the freedom to talk about WoW. But we will definitely be talking about WoW tomorrow. I have a topic planned that I wanted to talk about last night already, that I couldn't talk about last night because, well, my power went out literally an hour after starting stream. Today is a horrible day. We have stage 4 load shedding in South Africa, so the power is out for a long fucking time. So I took a small gap when I would have electricity to just quickly go live, just so that we can discuss, just so that we can hang out a little bit. What's your view on the rubber banana investment market? Rubber banana, I don't... Dasork? You mean the dildo market? I think it's a great opportunity. I think if you're gonna invest in the dildo market, you're gonna make good money. Definitely. Someone donate Ackerman some solar panels so we can hang out. Pull the trigger. I actually, like I said earlier in the stream, I contacted the company that fucking the lady who is the head of the trustees of my of the estate that I live in, and I asked her, listen here, why haven't we banded together to get a solar solution for the whole estate? Because it's cheaper to buy in bulk than it is for every single house to supply its own electricity. And her answer to me was literally, oh, we haven't thought about that before. We sort of just thought everyone could get their own solar panels. I'm like, how the fuck have you not thought about what? So like the future, do you bleach the sex doll before you trade? No. Let the other guy deal with that. There's always a good investment. Your fiber still works if you can provide power. UPS is worth getting. Rowan, to get a UPS that would run for the whole of a stream would be very expensive. So mate, it will bring peace on Earth. I think dildos, if you have a good collection of dildos, you're going to be good. I think you'd be hard pressed to run out of money with a good collection of dildos. Want a crusty as fuck you sex toy? Well, then don't buy mine. You get sweaty money. Well, the future is going to be sticky dolls. Hey, I could get behind that. A future where, well, sex is going to take over our culture at some point. Sex bots already exist, and now there are fears that they can be hacked and kill people. Are you serious? I just don't know to what extent, like, what is the depths of loneliness, right, that you have to reach to buy a sex bot? I mean, I don't care who you are. Surely there's a girl out there that would have sex with you, or a guy that would have sex with you. Like, what? How absolutely miserably alone must you be to justify the purchase of a sex bot? Not off my toys. It's honestly just sad and pathetic. Moonhaven, if we're talking about just toys, that's one thing. But sex bots are generally not just toys. If you're buying it so that you and your partner can enjoy it together, that's a whole different discussion, right? I mean, it doesn't have friends and is antisocial. Depends on the point of view, I guess. Of course, it always depends on the point of view. Sex robots help you train for the real thing. Maldo, that's bullshit. Like, you don't need training. The first time I had sex, it wasn't as if I didn't know what the fuck I was doing. It comes fairly naturally. Like, you just instantly know what you're supposed to do. It just makes sense. Now you get better as you do it more, obviously, but it's not as if you need training. You could watch a YouTube video if you really don't know what the fuck's going on. I don't think the sex robot is going to teach you that much. No, of course I didn't try to put it in here. I don't know. I wouldn't get a sex robot. I feel like that's just depravity on a whole new level. So you all feel good. Another trying to push sex bots for parents as a way to get them to not assault children. I think it's a good idea, except load the sex bot with a C4 and blow it up along with. I mean, I know why Twitch decided to block that message, Velena. Oh, Steve, I'm a firm believer in people being absolutely free to do whatever the fuck they want. As long as you're not hurting anyone else, and as long as it's two consenting adults, do whatever the fuck you want. That have unhealthy obsession with mannequins. There were even a few guys that legally married sex dolls that costed like 5-6 grand each. Wait, you can legally marry a sex doll? Put your partner out and then keep going? Frostball, thank you for the 7 sub, dude. Really fucking appreciate that. 5 months in a row. Thank you. Frostball, how you doing, brother? No, I'm 100% believer in people should be allowed to do whatever the fuck they want to do. As long as you don't hurt anyone else, you're good to go. You can marry a tree, so why not? How? That's just absurd. How do you marry a fucking tree? Supposedly, I could be wrong. Oh yeah, there's this woman named Susan in the UK who's legit married to a ghost. People worry about gay people being the end of the institution of marriage. That shit is the end of the institution of marriage. The point where you can start marrying inanimate fucking objects and made up ghosts and shit. They should stop worrying about actual people being in love and getting married and start worrying about the people marrying stupid shit. Like, what's next? People gonna stop marrying their fucking animals? That's a whole new level of fucking depravity. Israel, how you doing, bro? Think sexy robot? Will you buy it? Does she look like Sylvanas? Because I feel like that could sway things. So marriage would eventually mean nothing. I think we're already at a place where marriage means nothing. I can top that. There's a YouTube video about a guy sexually attracted to his car. Feel sorry for his exhaust. I follow the tried and true belief of you do you, bro. I'm with you there, Nico. I think they are married for taxes. Who? Maldorf. I don't think you can marry a ghost for taxes. Training dangerous crowd. Oh yeah, that's okay. Are you judging me? Identify. Pull the trigger. I'm judging no one. I am judging no one. As long as you're not hurting someone, I don't care. I'm with you there, Kale. Although I still think that there should be a limit to the things that you can fucking marry, because at some point it just gets ridiculous. At some point, are we just celebrating your stupidity? Are you asking people to give you wedding gifts because you're marrying a ghost? Like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, no, you don't get wedding gifts. You do not get to marry this person. Are you crazy? Right? At some point, some adult needs to say, of course you can't marry a camel. What are you talking about? Right? I don't care who that adult is, but there should be an adult that just says, no, we're not doing this. 1 year ago, we talked about Sylvanas and necrophilia. Yeah, but that's not necrophilia. Sylvanas is undead. She's not dead. She's not cold, though. How do you know that she's cold? She's warm and fuzzy and loving. We all know that. Goes of the curling iron. What curling iron? She's a girly girl? I don't think anyone can say Sylvanas is a girly girl, but she's got all the femininity a girl needs. How is it that we have a live stream where we go from talking about aliens to talking about religion, to talking about the Freemasons, to talking about sex robots, and now talking about people marrying ghosts? And also, just for good measure, talking about Sylvanas. Lashius Babby, that's very, very fucking true. Something that so many people do not realize. 50 Shades of Grey is not what BDSM is all about. Just wants to spread the good news of death while wearing spiky armor. Sylvanas is just a big sweet yandere. God bless the internet, that's how. Because we're big brain, because people are awesome. Just another day here in the Beard Club. Yes. Patty Matson, definitely hot. Patty Matson, you could see when she was younger, was very, very beautiful. Has there been cases of people being raped by ghosts? I don't think so, Ace. I mean, it depends. How many people here believe in ghosts? Like, how many of you actually believe that ghosts are real? Come on. Come on, now's the time to show us who's the crazy ones. I'm lying. You can believe whatever the fuck you want. I just really want to know if people believe it. Lego streams over the entire rainbow? Exactly. That's what makes it good. What if they're sexy, crazy ones? No idea. I ain't no expert. Not falling for that one again. Not sure. I was married to one. You were married to a ghost. In that case, I'm spooky boo crazy. See, I don't believe in ghosts because as much as I've always wanted to see one, I've never seen a ghost. And I would legit love to see a ghost. I think it would be amazing to see a ghost. So, at the end of the day, I can't believe in something that I've genuinely wanted to believe in, that I've genuinely wanted to see, and I'm fucking nuts. I think it would be cool if there were ghosts, but everyone that sort of talks about their encounters with ghosts are also usually very sketch. Ace, I think they're fake as well. I have a story on ghosts. Tell us, Saven. There are no ghosts because there is no ground base to what a ghost is. Well, a ghost would be a person that died that didn't move on to wherever the fuck they needed to move on to. Right? So that's what a ghost would be. Unless, of course, we're arguing that ghosts might be creatures from a different dimension that sometimes makes it into our dimension, which would be even fucking cooler than people dying and not moving on. Because that means there are creatures in other dimensions that we have yet to see, which would be so fucking awesome. User Israel, I agree with you. I'm just saying I've never seen one. People dying and not moving on. I believe that theory better. Opinions on facts nor scientific tastes. Slave to the cross, agreed. Mother's aunt died living across the states. Parents had no idea she died. Dad woke up in the middle of the night, seeing her at the foot of the bed, creeped him out. They found out in the morning the aunt died overnight. Yeah, but it could just be a dream, right? He could have just seen her in a dream. While my mom was dying, a blue ball kept floating around her. I thought I was just stricken with grief, but the nurse came in to take her vitals and saw it also, freaked out and stated she was clocking out to go to the bar, and she did. A blue ball. The dimension crossing thing might explain some of these cryptid sightings. Agreed, I'm not saying it's a ghost, but I'm saying I think there is something extra. So to say, some weird that's happened to our world. So there's a theory, actually, There is a theory actually that suggests that quantum entanglement is something that can happen in the brain, right? So our minds could be quantum states. Our minds could be a collection of quantum states. Now, if that is true, that would explain so much, because that would explain premonitions. That would explain something like someone seeing someone that just died. And that would mean that the quantum state of that person infiltrated or linked up with the quantum state in yours, and it formed quantum entanglement. And this is why you saw this person for a fleeting moment before their last light got snuffed out. Other dimensions, our souls are energy and transfer to other reality. This is real. I am speaking English. When my father died in hospital and me and my sis left, the elevator stopped on the way down, as if my dad didn't want us to leave yet. And Jockey, I mean, again, that could be explained by a lot of things, but I see what you mean. The quantum entanglement angle is super interesting to me. I've went down that road before. So everyone living and dead could be connected at some level. Well, yes. Everyone who lived or died could be connected in one way or another to everyone else through the quantum entanglement theory. There's a lot of things that happen this is one of the reasons I'm not an atheist, right? It's one of the reasons I'm agnostic. Because you can say, well, there is no God, because Christians or religious people can't prove that there's a God. But then in the same way, look at all the things that's happened that is so random. Like, if you think about a Big Bang creating the universe, right? All of the planets, creating a planet like Earth that is exactly in the space where it's not too far away from the sun as to freeze over, and not so close to the sun that it gets scorched. And then somehow on this rock hurtling through space, life happens, right? Life comes into being. Humans are created eventually. If you start thinking about these things, you do get to a point where you go, there could be an intelligent hand behind all of this, guiding these things. Alex, take care of yourself, bro. We had an old Civil War story about a place in our town, and it was supposed to be haunted by a lady. I used to visit there a lot because my friend lived there. I saw weird shit there. Kyle, like what? There's some crazy stories about reincarnation and kids out there also. There's actually a show on Netflix called Surviving Death that has a reincarnation episode, and it's wild. So, Steve, I have a story. This story was told to me by the parents, right? And I trust these parents. They wouldn't lie about something like this. Their daughter was 3 or 4 years old, and they just had a new baby boy, right? And the one night they put the baby in bed, right, in his cot. He's going to sleep, and their daughter goes into the room, and the mother is sort of just standing outside the room, just keeping an eye, because the girl is young. Maybe she tries to pick up the baby, and obviously she's too young to do that. So she's just sort of standing outside the room, just sort of watching that the girl says goodnight and whatnot. And the girl asks her brother, when you learn to speak, will you tell me about Jesus, because I'm forgetting? Like, literally, that was the girl's words to her brother when she thought her mother wasn't listening. When you're older and you can speak, can you tell me about Jesus, because I'm forgetting? Which was, I mean, pretty fucking weird. If all time exists simultaneously and all space is connected, then that could explain a lot of these things. Ghosts, cryptids, etc. Then I agree with you. I'm with you on the agnostic thing. Similarities in the history of creation around the world and things. Also within religion itself, similarities. I think there is some sort of higher power, but I wouldn't say I'm religious, and it's Yahweh or Allah or Christian God. Seven Raven, it is wild. I could zoom out further. Why does a universe exist? How was it created? What created the thing that created our universe? That's why I'm not an atheist. Have you ever wondered, Sathix, I agree with what you're saying, because it is still a relevant point, right? Have you ever wondered, where do your thoughts come from? Where does your mind go once dreaming? It's always perplexed me. Well, our minds are extremely complex, right? In how it works and how it functions. The imagination is an incredible tool. Steve, I've heard some really crazy shit about reincarnation. Lady supposedly was looking for something. My friend had a giant window in his kitchen that overlooked his backyard. We would sit in the kitchen playing trading card games, and I would see a person walking back and forth through his backyard at night. Closest neighbors were 2 miles away. And you're sure it's not just someone passing through the garden? The one true God is the flying spaghetti monster. Embrace his starchy goodness. The first one's created the universe. There's sometimes too much. There is sometimes too much coincidence to just sort of pass it off as coincidence. Simulation theory, that all of us are living in a simulation, and that we're basically in the Matrix. I like the theory, but it's the same as the religious theory. It's the same as the there's holes in that theory that we will most likely never be able to plug. Hitable, well, okay, you've got me there. The fact that there are spirit healers in WoW must mean that there must be some kind of ghost. You've got me there. The problem, however, and this is a tiny problem that I'm sure we can hash out very quickly, World of Warcraft is not real life. So, how do you go about explaining that? They would have had to jump. They would have had to jump electric and barbed fences. Plus, this was on the side of the local mountain. Oh. Kale, now that is interesting. Or is it? Let's not even get into that, because that makes me really wish that we had AR already. Like, whenever people say things like, what if World of Warcraft was real? I immediately start thinking, can we have AR, please? Do cyborgs dream of electric sheep? Do cyborgs dream? Would probably be a better question, right? I think AR would be the end of humanity. If you gave human beings the ability to live inside Azeroth. So what we're talking about here isn't VR. It's not putting something on your head and then seeing it as if it's you, but it's not really you because you're very much aware of the thing on your head and that you are just looking at two screens. What we're talking about is full-on AR, augmented reality. So you lie down and it literally goes into your brain, and in your brain, you are inside Azeroth. You are walking in, in the Emerald Dream. You are walking in Stormwind. You're smelling the game. You feel the wind of Winterspring, right? All of these things are real. You can feel them. You can feel the pinch. How fucking cool would that be? Exactly, Saban. Don't want to hear that, but that's a plot of an anime. Kyle, I know it's a plot of an anime, but the anime is based on actual technology that not George Lucas, what the fuck am I talking about? What's his name? The god of never fucking bringing a third Half-Life? Gabe Newell. Germanio, how you doing? went for dinner, and then the phone to police for last hour. Wait, why were you on the phone with the police? So they're working on it. Steam is actively working on AR. Like Gabe Newell said, within the next decade, they will have AR. Imagine doing a raid when you're physically in it. Well, he already explained that most of it they've already got down. Like, the problem isn't... like, most of the AR hurdles have already been overcome. The biggest hurdle that they have, right? The biggest hurdle that they have is cold. Or some things akin to cold. Because as it turns out, cold isn't just a feeling on the skin. Cold is also a reaction of your nervous system, right? And your immune system. So you have to jack into the immune system because you feel cold because your immune system warns you. And this is why you start feeling cold. The immune system is an integral part of that thing. He already said, manipulating the brain and putting images into the brain, that's not really the biggest problem they have. Trying to steal cars, managed to get in one and drove off. Luckily, we got on call with police, so he didn't get far. Whoa, Germano, that's kind of scary. Was it your car or a friend's car? Get busy with your succubus. Of course. We can jump like that. We can't jump like that. We just need to jack into the Matrix. How many of you would play AR video games if AR video games became a thing? Like, be honest. How many of you would prefer to stay with your PC, your keyboard, and your mouse? And how many of you would go, fuck it, jack me in, bro? Steve, that's what I'm saying. Imagine World of Warcraft as an AR. I'd literally never see the light of day again. Andy, how you doing? Yeah, I would literally, you wake up every day and you don't even get up from bed. You just plug in fucking game, bro. Imagine AR babes. Imagine standing in front of the Dark Lady. Like literally standing in front of her. Too cool to mess. I'd still DC for real life. Our version of Alien Isolation. I've never played Alien Isolation. You see the light of the video game day? I would go AR. Imagine the market. So many possibilities. It would be insane what we would be able to achieve once AR is a thing, right? Because that's at that point, all you're really limited by is human imagination. Because there's no technological limits. You plug into the brain, and as long as the brain can see it, it's there. We were sat in the car park. He came up to ours, but noticed we were in it eating, so walked past, looked dodgy with his face hidden, so we kept an eye on him. He tried 3 cars just down from ours, so luckily not ours, but we hung around to tell the cars that weren't stolen to check for damages. Fucking asshole. You Sims would all have weight spots on your loins. Why wouldn't we, Saven? Future isn't sex dolls. It's the things they had in Cyberpunk where you just input a scenario into your mind. Wet dream, get in front of Sylvanas. Oh, yes. But good on you, Germano, for doing the right thing and actually hanging around to make that shit work. No, I think AR video gaming is most likely the future because it's going to rely far less on technology and far more on your brain to do a bunch of things. Now, of course, there's probably going to be a lot of sort of things that could go wrong with that approach too. But I'm definitely very excited for the future of video games. Even if we don't get to AR, I think, especially with so many, like we've discussed not too long ago, with the indie market now being as strong as it is these days, I think we're in for a wild ride when it comes to video games. I would also not. I would not be the first to fucking plug in. No, I would wait for them to be sure that if you die in game, you don't also then die IRL. Right? That would be my biggest issue. Like, if you're gonna plug into the brain, and the brain is going to experience everything that happens, one of the problems you would have is if the brain experiences death, is the brain going to be able to go, oh, this is not real, this is just a game, or is the brain going to go, oh, that means we're dead now? It's only going to get better and more sophisticated, I imagine. Well, according to not George Lucas, fuck my life. According to Gabe Newell, Steve, VR isn't the future. Like, this is why he said they're working on AR. Because he said VR is just, there's too many limitations to VR that they can't overcome. So AR is the big thing. The Total Recall. Total Recall was such a cool movie. You've seen WoW and Unreal Engine? I have. WoW head. Yeah, I think advances in VR will help lead to AR. I mean, to be honest though, getting killed by Sylvanas IRL would be pretty cool. Yeah, but then you'd be dead though. I don't want to die. What if we figured out immortality and it is plugging ourselves into the AR that ends with plugging into another AR and so on and so on? Sathix, I mean, I think mortality or immortality is uploading ourselves to the cloud or into a cyborg body that can live forever. I don't know if immortality can be achieved with human bodies. I think the human body is just too fragile. But then, of course, there's going to be another question. If you are a robot, so a cyborg, that doesn't have to eat, that doesn't have to sleep, that doesn't have to, like, do any of the human things, would you still be you? Alex, the problem with cloning is the world has already sort of agreed on cloning and why cloning will never work. Because the world has already said, if you clone a human being, that human being will have human rights. So you won't be able to clone a human being and just upload yourself into that new human. Because that human would have human rights and therefore you wouldn't be allowed to do that. So cloning might not be the answer that people are looking for. No, you probably not care, Andy, but the problem is much of what makes us human and much of what gives us joy in life comes from our basic needs and the ability to fulfill those basic needs. If you're a robot or a cyborg, you no longer have those basic needs. So would you still have joy? It's like the movie The Island in regards of cloning. I've started watching The Island and I've never finished it. I should actually finish it, but I know the basic plot of it. And I agree with you, Desorg, it's very similar to that. Still, it's come from my cells, and that makes me clone... That makes the clone me, basically. Alex, but it wouldn't be you, because the clone would be different to you. So there is an argument, however, with cloning, that we would be able to renew ourselves through cloning, right? So if we could clone hearts, which we've already done, lungs, which we've already done, we already have the ability to clone basic human pieces. You could just replace the stuff that's dying, right? Ace, that's what we would basically need to do, which would probably be very difficult to do. What about a parent and child? Children come from the parents' cells, but it's not the property of the parent. But Sive, it's also not cloning, right? But also that child does have human rights, which is the point. But you cannot replace your age. Cosmic, but if you can replace everything else, you could replace the cells that control aging with newer cells, which would then basically renew your body. Responding to what Alex said. Okay, Steve, see what you mean. Quick fix though, cells will still degrade. They will degrade, but if you continuously replace them with new ones, that would slow down and very, 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 very drastically slow down the aging process. because we already know what controls age, right? We know what part of the human DNA controls the aging process. So the point that they're trying to make is if we replace those cells with brand new cells, because over time, those cells start producing less and less new cells, and that's what ultimately ends ends life, because those cells run out of the ability to create new cells to replace the old cells. But if you replace the cells that creates new cells, you would basically always be new. Cloning could work for interstellar journeys, but I still think eternal life would be better. Because I don't want my clone to experience something, I want me to experience something. Although now we could also get into, if we finally have that technology, could you just implant an experience even if you did not have that experience firsthand? Zuri does really well at trying to explain it. So child is something new and clone is another version of you. Like how would that even be cool? So imagine, for example, you, instead of going on holiday, they just upload the memories of a holiday to your brain, and you think you were on holiday, but you weren't on holiday. And then some evil organization uses this to make humans always work. Some Cambridge scientists who claim we're so close to unlocking immortality that the first immortals have already been born. But enough, I've seen that. There's many claims right now that believe that the generation that was born post 1985. So if you were born after 1985, you will be, let me phrase it this way. If you were born before 1985, you will be the last generation to experience death. So if you were born after 1985, you're good to go. You will probably never die. If you were born before 1985, you will be the last generation. Sathics, it depends on how fast they do it. So on the cusp of 1985, which is when I was born, it all depends. If they can do it within, I think they said the next, I think they said if they do it within the next decade, it could probably be earlier as well. So it could probably move up to 1980. But there is a point after which they won't even try it. There is a point at which they're not even going to try it. So I think if you're 50 years old by the time they do it, they probably won't even try. Play WoW forever then. I'm not born yet, so I'm Gucci. Are you not born yet? Useless. Just off me right now, man. Why, Andy? Shit, I'm gonna have to head off. Sucks, I missed so much of the stream today. Have a good one, everyone. Jemania, take care of yourself. And thank you very much for coming to say hello. Shadowlands Classic. Oh my fuck. Can you imagine when World of Warcraft finally gets to the place where we have Shadowlands Classic being released? Nigga Spider, we're talking about Eternal Life. Legion Classic. Bro, it's gonna be disgusting by the time we get there. I'd rather not die than see that happen. The world population is gonna be too much if people are gonna live forever. Cosmic, not necessarily. Because again, one of the reasons people procreate is because they die, right? So first and foremost, people are gonna have far fewer children, right? If they live forever. Not only that, but there's a big portion of humanity that will not accept the drug that makes them live forever. So that's first and foremost, right? Also, people will have far fewer children because the reason we have kids is because we die. So in order to leave a legacy, we have children. That way, we technically live forever. Once you remove the dying part, humans will probably be far less likely to have children, and you might end up with a world where only 1 in 5 or 1 in 6 couples will have kids. The rest won't. And then you also have the argument that, like I said in the beginning, you will end up in a scenario where human beings will probably live on multiple planets. So you won't just have humans on Earth. You'll have humans throughout the solar system, colonizing different planets. Got that backwards. We died because we have children. Because we have kids. Seven Raven, we're not talking about the people that died during childbirth. We're talking about the basic fundamental biological need for humans to have kids derives from our inability to live forever. Single people are immortal. They will lose the meaning of life. I don't necessarily think so. Death is our only escape from this fucked up realm. The people want to take a drug to make them live forever. Sounds like hell to me. I would take that drug instantly. I would love to see what humanity looks like in 1,000 years from now. 2,000 years, 5,000 years. I would love to see. But it prepares to shut down to preserve resources for your offspring. But Seven Raven, it also happens after the age of 25 naturally. So your body dies either way. And according to most scientists that study these things, dying is a disease. It's not actually meant to be there. It's something that we're born with. In our cells, there is some sort of disease that makes us die. I don't think the Fountain of Youth is real, but I think we're going to figure it out. But I don't think there is a fountain that you can drink from that will make you live forever. Maybe you will wish to die if you live things like war or something. Because Israel, I don't necessarily agree. I'm not bored now. I love life. I love every single thing there is to love about life. Every aspect of life is great to me. Even the bad parts is cool. So I don't think I would ever be bored. But uses Israel, it will only get better. It'll only get better. I don't want to die. I have no interest in dying. Going to get to a point where you've seen everything there is to see. Not true, because we'll keep figuring new things out. And if I'm bored with everything on Earth, I get on a fucking plane and I fly to a different planet, and then I get to see all sorts of new shit on that planet. And then maybe I fly to a different solar system, and now I get to see all sorts of alien races and shit. So it's not true that you're going to see everything and now you're just going to be bored. I personally think living forever would be insane. But it's on that note that we can't be live forever. My power is going out soon, so I have to bid you all adieu. So that I can go sit and fucking complete in utter darkness and think about my life and my choices. We have main stuff to do. Exactly. Humanity is insanely cool when it comes to things like that. That's why I love humans. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, I do apologize for having to leave early. I'm probably going to go to the gym soon anyways, just because what the fuck is there to do here? Plus, I'm looking forward to it. We did shoulders last night, and holy shit. I am a little bit tender, but today is deadlifts, which is always fun. Comes back quickly. Ace, it should be, but it is stage 4, so all fingers crossed right now that stage 4 ends at 10 p.m. They said it will end at 10 p.m. So fingers crossed that it does end at 10 p.m. If it doesn't end at 10 p.m., we're in for a fucking wild ride. Which, you know, I don't have all the hopes in the world, but maybe some hope is a good thing. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for hanging out with me. Thank you so much for spending your evening with me. We almost did 3 hours, which I think is better than nothing. At least I got to spend some time with you. I will see all of you back here tomorrow. It's all going to depend. Hold up. Let me just quickly fucking check this out. Hold up. Let's see. If we stay in stage 4... I'm just bringing up the schedule. If we stay in stage 4, I will be off tomorrow at 10 p.m. So we should be able to do a stream tomorrow. No problems. If we go to stage 2, that's good. It wouldn't interfere at all. So yeah, hopefully it doesn't go to stage 5, which is far more miserable, or even worse, hopefully it doesn't go to stage 6, which would be the worst. But anyways, ladies and gentlemen, take care of yourselves, take care of your loved ones, take care of even the people that you don't always like, because sometimes, you never know when, they might come in handy. I really appreciate each and every one of you. Take care of yourselves. I love you, and I will see you tomorrow. Peace out, fam.